Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope everyone is having a lovely Saturday. I hope you had time with your family. We are about to hit 2025, y'all. I'm on a countdown, right? The days of 2025, I get even more excited the closer that we get to New Year's. And I hope everybody's just having a great weekend going forward. So I have 3 episodes that I want to review with you again today. They're really unique situations. It has a lot to do with I would say social media, the things that are happening on social media between grown adults, between young adults, and even teenagers. And I think that we need to review these things because we are seeing now that more people are getting themselves in trouble for certain behaviors that they exhibit online, and they just think that it's just the internet, it's just for entertainment. But you can actually get in big trouble and ruin your lives, ruin others, or put people in a position where they can lose their lives for the things that we do. So I want to review one of these cases with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so before I actually play, this is a case that had to do with a teenager. It had to do with some text messages that was being sent in a group chat that ended up making her best friend lose her life. So we're going to look a little bit more into this.
On April 7th, 2021, just after midnight, in the town of Lake Park, Florida, the West Palm Beach Sheriff's Office received a chilling
Hi,
911
Inship
call.
Believer. Thank
This is
you.
911. Where's your emergency? We need ambulance. Who are you? I don't know. We're in North Lake, 40th Street, and Broadway? Broadway, yeah, 40th Street, Broadway. What's going on? We have someone who's shot. He's shot? Yes, he's not moving. Please hurry.
The voice you've been listening to belongs to a 21-year-old man named Keyshawn Jones. As you just heard, Keyshawn just witnessed his friend being shot. The man firing the gun was none other than ex-NFL player Travis Rudolph. On the night before, the evening of April 6th, 2021, Travis and his girlfriend Dominique Jones, who is Keyshawn's sister, were engaged in a drinking game commonly referred to as Drunk Uno. And Travis was losing. Things took a turn for the worse when Dominique peeped at Travis's cell phone and found text messages with another woman named Kyla. The exchange that she found can be summarized by quoting one of the messages. "Your body is sexier than my girlfriend's." Dominique reacted to this conversation by throwing Travis's PlayStation to the ground, damaging his $72,000 black BMW, and punching him several times in the face.
Open this door, bro, because this got me. Dominique, stop.
Who are you calling it, bruh?
Travis retaliated by pushing her to the ground on his front lawn. Moments later, a very erratic Dominique.
Okay, so I just want to stop here. Being cheating on, whether it's man or woman, is a very traumatizing thing for that person who is the victim of that, right? It's like one of the biggest forms of betrayal that a person can feel when they're intimate with said individual. So there's many people who act out in different ways, but there's no reason to be putting your hands on anyone, right? Even if they do cheat on you, there's no reason to be destroying anybody's property just because they cheated on you, because that is entirely different, right? The cheating situation, that type of betrayal, you need to remove yourself from it. But destroying that person's property and also hitting that person, that is a sign of you're controlling how you felt that you was in control of that person in that relationship. And we are not in control of anyone. You know, these people are not your property. The people who get into relationships with you, get into unions with you, are not your property. So you do not have a right to put your hands on them, nor do you have the right to destroy their property that they purchase.
Dominique informed her brother Keyshawn what happened. Keyshawn responded over text, saying, "Travis is a dead man walking," to which Dominique replied, "Shoot his shit up." Not long after, Keyshawn and 3 of his friends showed up at Travis's home at 550 Teak Drive in Lake Park, Florida. His friends were Christopher Lowe, Tyler Robinson, and Sebastian Jean-Jacques. Travis and his brother Daryl answered the door, and a fight quickly broke out.
Who is it? Where Travis at? Travis at?
The 2 brothers were outnumbered, so Travis retreated back inside. This is where things get ugly. When Travis went back outside, he was now holding an assault rifle. As they attempted to flee the scene, Travis fired dozens of rounds at the group's black Cadillac. Within moments, Keyshawn dialed 911, bringing us right back to the call at the beginning of this video.
This is 911. Where's your emergency?
We need ambulance.
All right, no problem, sir. Did you see the person who shot him?
Travis Rudolph.
Travis Rudolph shot at him?
Yes. He came outside with the gun and shot at him. Shot at us. He shot all of us.
Okay, but where did that happen? You guys drove to this location?
We came to talk to him. He came outside trying to fight. We were trying to get to the car. And he went back into the house, got a gun, came outside. We were in the car driving away, and he started to shoot at us.
Okay, now, how many other people are with you right now?
2, and my son who was with us, I don't know where he's at. He drove away as soon as he started shooting. Yes, please.
Okay, you call the police?
Right here. He's in the bathroom. Oh my God, I love you, bro. I love you.
At the same time as this call, dispatch also received several calls from neighbors to report the gunfire.
911, what's your emergency?
I just heard a ton of shots behind me. I just heard shots fired.
It sounded like 10 gunshots.
It's a guy out here saying that he's just been shot.
Police were immediately dispatched to both the location of the Cadillac as well as Travis's home. Starting with the location of the vehicle, police were met by 3 people: Keyshawn, Chris, and Sebastian. Keyshawn and Chris were unharmed, but tragically, Sebastian had succumbed to his gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead upon arrival. An autopsy later determined that he had been shot 10 times.
Yo. Look at me. No, play the lighting. Okay.
Last name is
Your boys.
Meanwhile, near the Rudolph residence, police found Tyler seriously injured by 3 gunshot wounds. He was transported to the hospital where he was kept in stable condition. Travis was arrested and taken into custody. He was held without bond at the Palm Beach County Jail. Although he insisted that Tyler and Sebastian had pulled their guns on them first and that he acted in self-defense, he was promptly charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder using a firearm.
Former Florida State University football player Travis Rudolph is now facing charges of first-degree murder and attempted murder. Palm Beach County deputies say the 25-year-old was identified as a suspect after 2 people were shot shortly after midnight in the Lake Park area. 1 man died. The other was taken to the hospital for treatment. Rudolph was arrested shortly after.
Back at the crime scene a couple of hours earlier, Detective Emily Vanderlaan of the West Palm Beach Sheriff's Office led the homicide investigation with a team of over 50 police officers. Keyshawn and Chris immediately admitted to the police that Dominique told them of a physical altercation she had with Travis earlier that evening, which is what prompted the visit to Travis's home to confront him. They alleged that upon arriving at Travis's front door, Travis and Daryl physically attacked them. As the altercation escalated, Travis ran inside the house, grabbed a gun, and opened fire. Both Keyshawn and Christopher maintained that they were unarmed during the incident.
It's important for us to know where it happened. Where did this occur?
Travis Rudolph's house.
What is Travis Rudolph's house? Who's that?
Travis was my sister's ex-boyfriend.
So tell me what happened.
We went to the house to talk to Travis.
Okay.
He came outside trying to argue. We're not trying to argue with him.
Okay.
We're on our way out. We get to the car. He runs back in the house, grabs his gun, comes out and starts shooting at us while we're trying to leave.
We got to his house, knocked on his door. Mm-hmm. He just came out with aggression, anger, energy, trying to fight. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Now, I understand the situation, and it's unfortunate that that young man lost his life, but, you know, they're not being very truthful. Y'all came over there as a group as if you was wanting to fight this man. Now, mind you, I understand why, if your sister's telling you that this man put his hands on her, you want to go see this dude. I totally get it. but we need to be honest about the whole scenario, because when Travis came out, the brother of Travis came out. They said, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "Where's Travis at?" And he was like, "You looking for Travis?" And then he came out. Now, there was a little bit of that video that it didn't show whether or not if they were actually tussling with each other. We did see Travis go back into the house with no shirt on. We did see that these guys were proceeding to go back to their car, and Travis did come out with the weapon. But it's not fair to just paint the picture as you just came over there to have a talk with him. That is not the case. If anything, if your sister felt that she was assaulted, you should have called the police. She could have called the police, and the police could have went over there to question Travis about this DV incident. But none of that transpired. Y'all wanted to take things in your hands, and I get it. I understand that's your family member, but there's a lot of things that y'all could have done that would not have led to this man losing his life.
We didn't have no guns. It was quiet until he came into the street. And then I heard gunshots. It wasn't no shots from us. And then he's shooting. Keyshawn gets in the driver's seat. Sebastian hops in the front seat. And I ran and I jumped in the back. And then I start hearing shots ringing, do. So then that's when I ducked down in the back right seat. And then there's just shots coming through the car windows right next to me. I don't know. I heard Sebastian say, he said, "I'm hit."
Along with the statements from Keyshawn and Chris that night, detectives were able to record an interview with Tyler, who was still at the hospital and had just woken up from surgery. In Tyler's statement to the police, he reported that Travis had shot at him, hitting him in the back as he tried to flee from the vehicle. He also stated that he and his friends did not bring a firearm.
Mr. Tyler, just explain to me what occurred tonight.
There was an argument between my sister, Dominique, and her boyfriend. This isn't my blood sister. This is like my best friend's sister. She's basically my sister as well. He put his hands on her. So we went over there to talk about what happened. And
So you guys got into a physical altercation?
yes, sir. Everyone's fighting, and then finished fighting. Her boyfriend ran into the house and grabbed like a big gun. I just hear bullets hitting everywhere. And he's just chasing me, screaming, he's gonna kill me. I was running for my life.
Tyler's story changed a couple of hours later after police had found a gun discarded in a bush near Travis's home. He admitted that the men had brought it with them and that he was the one carrying it.
What happened with your gun?
I knew I was going to have to either talk to the police, and I didn't want to have a gun on me and worsen the situation. So when I jumped over the gate, I literally just took my gun out of my pocket and dropped it on the floor right there.
Okay.
But prior to that, I didn't pull my gun out at all.
Discovering another firearm added some credibility to Travis's self-defense claim. However, police were still uncertain who to believe and continued to piece together the events of that night.
See, there's always more to the story, right? Because unless Travis, I'm just going to be honest, unless Travis was losing the fight between him and his brother versus 4 other guys, I can see that being a reason why he would go get his weapon. But most of the time, if he went to go get his weapon, is because there was a weapon that was shown. He seen a weapon, and that's why he went to go get a weapon. And y'all all the guys who came to his property, because this is Florida, right? Stand your ground laws. Y'all come to his property, and you also now admitting that you came to his property with a weapon. You try to hide the weapon, and then when the police started questioning you, you saying you didn't have no guns at all. So what was the point of bringing the gun if only you wanted to talk to this man?
After obtaining a search warrant for Travis's residence, officers conducted a search that spanned the entire property.
Sheriff's office. Chat, Bob. Sheriff's office. Anybody here?
During this search, they uncovered 2 firearms, a semi-automatic pistol, and what seemed to be the AR-15 style rifle that he was seen carrying on the doorbell camera. Also, 39 shell casings were found about 100 yards away from his home, suggesting that Travis walked a significant distance as he shot at the vehicle. Again, the officers found themselves with conflicting evidence. Could it really be self-defense since Travis opened fire after the men had traveled so far away from his home? Or was Travis just angry and pursued them as they left? These seemed to be the main questions that detectives were asking. On April 15th, 8 days after the shooting, law enforcement invited Dominique to the police station for an interview. She was questioned by the detective about her relationship with Travis and the events leading up to the shooting. She stated that she did not intend for Travis to be harmed and considered the Rudolphs as family.
Ms. Jones, can I just have you raise your right hand? Do you swear that everything you're going to say is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Travis slammed me twice, a 190-pound football player.
So after you calmed down, did you have a discussion with Keyshawn or Tyler or any of the four who ended up going to Travis's house?
Keyshawn said he was going to speak with Travis, so I knew his intentions were to go over there and speak and have a conversation because they do have a relationship.
Did you speak to him at all about whether or not he was bringing a gun?
There wasn't an actual conversation, but when you carry a gun on you, you can visually see it. I can clearly see he didn't have any type of weapon on him.
Okay. And did you have any conversations with Tyler or Chris or Sebastian about them bringing a gun or no?
No, not at all.
Did you say anything to Tyler after that about bringing a gun, physically harming him, anything like that?
No, I didn't tell anyone to bring a gun to his house.
And was your intent in asking them to go to Travis's house to shoot him, harm him, kill him, anything along those lines?
Not at all. I loved Travis. Me and Travis are in a relationship.
It turns out that not only did Dominique send the text messages that we showed you earlier, but she also deleted them immediately after finding out that Sebastian had passed away.
I was very upset during the time. It was a very heated altercation that me and him got into. When I got back into my vehicle, I texted my brother and Tyler in a group chat, shoot his shit up.
You did mention that since sending that text message where you said shoot his shit up,
yes,
that you have since deleted it.
Correct.
When did you delete it?
I believe like a few days after everything had occurred, I believe like a day or two, I ended up deleting it because I realized that could look a certain type of way. I realized like that could make me look or portray me in a certain type of way that.
Okay, so she's saying that a couple of days later, she deleted that text. Ma'am, it makes you look in a couple kind of way because you're the one who got these men to go over to this man's house. You knew that they were carrying, and you specifically said in your text messages, shoot that shit up, meaning shoot up his house, shoot up his car. That, I'm sorry, those words are intent to hurt someone and harm someone. So for you now to just tell this lady that you had no intentions of Travis being hurt or whatever, not he's your buddy, he's your friend, you're in a relationship with him, it really doesn't add up, because even someone that you're really close to, like you really look at this person as your friend or your intimate relationship partner, most of the time people are not saying, go unalive this person. Most people are not saying that to people that they really care about. So the little simple fact that you sent a armory, right? You sent a little small armory to his house, and you have messages saying to shoot it up. Yeah, it's definitely going to paint you in a bad light.
Were never my intention. So it was just an impulse to delete it. I'm not hiding anything. That's why I'm having a conversation with you as of right now. But after Sebastian passed away, I just didn't want it to look a certain type of way.
Surprisingly, following this interview, Dominique Jones was not charged and was free to go. Travis, however, was held behind bars until a bail or bond negotiation could be met. During that time, his name was plastered all over the news. Usually his name would appear on sports channels like ESPN, but now his life was front and center on channels like Court TV. For those who don't know, at one point in his life, Travis Rudolph was on his way to becoming a household name. During his college football run, Travis was rated as a 5-star recruit and was ranked as the #1 receiver in his class. He was signed to the New York Giants in late 2017, where he played for 2 seasons. In 2018, Travis was drafted to the Miami Dolphins practice squad, but on his first day of practice, he accidentally tore his right ACL. Unfortunately, this injury led to him being unable to continue his contract. In 2020, after recovering from his injury, Travis was signed to the Canadian Football League's Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But at the time of the shooting, he was waiting for the post-quarantine season to begin. The shooting led to Travis being released by the Bombers before ever stepping foot on the field. But at this point, many wondered if there was even enough evidence to convict him in the court of public opinion. Sure, there was some pretty damning video evidence, but the circumstances were definitely questionable. And to anybody that knew him well, this behavior was very out of the ordinary. Many of his friends and neighbors would go on to participate in news interviews just to support him and to express their disbelief regarding his arrest. Take this woman, for example, who Travis lived next door to growing up. Her name is Irene, and she was in complete shock when she heard the news.
Irene Malenga says she has known Travis since he was a boy in this Lake Park neighborhood.
Every night he played right out there in that corner, practicing to fulfill his dream.
Many here, though, say they believe Rudolph may have felt threatened and tried to protect his mother and brother in the house.
I can tell you this young man is honorable and caring and just a good young man, There's something wrong here. Something doesn't add up. Something is missing. I'm telling you, something is missing.
On top of his neighbors supporting him, Travis seemed to make an impact on people everywhere he went. For instance, on December 14th, 2016, he and his FSU teammates made a memorable visit to Montford Middle School in Tallahassee, Florida. During their visit, he left a lasting impact on a young boy with autism, a moment that went viral on social media.
We were sitting by himself. I had got some pizza. And I asked him, can I sit down with him? He said, sure, why not? And we went from there, started a great conversation.
Leah cheers on her son every day. She wrote she had tears streaming down her face when her friend sent her this picture. Travis says he appreciates the opportunity to connect with the community.
Those kids, they really do look up to us. And I remember being in that position just not too long ago. And I feel like one person can make a difference. And maybe I'm that difference.
The positive moments in Travis's life became frozen in time on April 7th, 2021, as a darker side was now becoming public. The main question now was whether or not Travis was a cold-blooded killer. The Rudolph family declined to provide any statements about the events of that evening. However, Travis's mother did say that her sons acted in self-defense. On March 8th, 2022, Travis's defense team filed a motion to request the dismissal of the case based on
So, he does have a somewhat of a case for stand your ground and self-defense. The only thing that I will see that the prosecutor is going to argue is that as soon as these guys left the front of his lawn, he was no longer in danger, and that he intentionally went in the house to get a gun and to shoot at him. So he was no longer the one that was in danger. He became the one that is the threat. That is the prosecution's route with this story. However, the defense, if they're smart, they can say that even though it looks like on the camera that he was no longer in danger and that they were leaving, since they came to ambush him at the house, 4 men versus 1 or 2 men, he thought that they probably was going back to their vehicles to get weapons. And that's the reason why he went in to get his weapon. So that is a good way for the defense attorney to try to continue to hold the stand your ground self-defense clause with this. But we'll see what route that they take with this case.
Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which allows the use of deadly force in self-defense.
Travis Rudolph is claiming the Stand Your Ground defense. He testified today that he did what he had to do that night to protect his life and the life of his mother and brother when several men came to their home and attacked them. Rudolph says the men came to his door around 12 midnight. Rudolph says one of them punched him. Then a brawl began, and the men were kicking and punching both him and his brother, telling them, "You're going to die tonight." Rudolph says 2 of the attackers had guns, so Rudolph testified that he grabbed an AR-15 pistol that he keeps in his bedroom for personal protection. He says he went outside and fired 39 shots.
When you're facing 2 two guns, you know, after everything that played through and lights off and everything, I'm in fear of me and my brother's life. So at that time, I had the right to defend myself.
Circuit Judge Jeffrey Gillen denied the request, leaving a panel of jurors in charge of determining whether or not Travis killed Sebastian to protect himself. If convicted of first-degree murder, Travis would be sentenced to life in prison. At 27 years old, Travis had already accomplished more than a vast majority of the population. He's undoubtedly felt the highest of the highs, along with the lowest of the lows. A man who once had it all now sits on the sidelines as the justice system determines his fate. A month after his dismissal was denied, Travis was released on bond after paying $160,000. He was required to remain on house arrest. On Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, the trial of Florida versus Travis Rudolph began. In the prosecution's opening statement, they explained to the jury that Travis had unnecessarily pursued his adversaries after they had already fled from his house, meaning that it was no longer self-defense.
A German poet back in the French Revolution once said that murder...
I told you, see, I knew that the prosecutor was going to lead with that. So I hope that the defense attorney takes the other scenario that I said, that they can counter why it's still self-defense, because he wasn't sure that the threat was actually, seized. He wasn't sure. They could have been going back to get weapons from their car to retaliate back at the house. And that's why he went to go get his weapon, just to be prepared, because he didn't know whether if the situation was over. I hope they went that route. But let's go on.
begins when self-defense ends. Now that was a simple sentence said many, many years ago, but that simple sentence perfectly encapsulates why this defendant right there, Travis Rudolph, is sitting in the chair that he's sitting in. He took it upon himself to take out a semi-automatic rifle-like weapon, pursue 4 boys that were leaving the area of his home, and as those boys were trying to leave the situation that had occurred minutes before, this defendant used that weapon and fired 39 times. 39 times into the car that they were in that was trying to leave. The facts and the evidence are going to be clear by the time you get back into that room that he was not on defense. He was on offense. He was not under attack. He was on the attack, and that's exactly why he's in that chair.
With most of the evidence supporting the prosecution's theory, the defense found themselves in a difficult position. In their opening statement, they blamed Dominique for the chain of events leading up to Sebastian's death, calling her a woman scorned, driven by jealousy.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. The evidence is going to show that on April 6th of 2021, Dominique Jones, a woman scorned, set a series of events that ended in a tragedy and forced Travis Rudolph to act in self-defense. Her rage and jealousy set this entire thing in motion. That's what the evidence is going to show. Travis left his cell phone in his bedroom with Dominique, and he stepped outside. When he came back in, that's when all hell broke loose. Dominique went into his phone without his permission. She sneaked around, scrolled through his text messages, and saw that he had been talking with a woman named Kyla and some other women who were merely friends. But it set her off. She became infuriated, enraged. She lost her mind. She became unhinged. What you're going to hear, though, ironically, is she was married throughout their entire relationship and never told this man this, sneaking behind her husband's back. She could not control her anger, her jealousy, her rage. She lost her mind.
Oh my God, I did not know that. So wait, you're telling me that this girl, the girlfriend, was actually a married woman already committing adultery against her husband, and she had the audacity to spiral out of control when you seen those messages that he was also talking to other women? Now, mind you, I'm not saying that either is right. I just think that the irony behind how she was so in a fit of rage and she sent these messages to these guys to shoot up his place, like, but you're a whole cheater yourself, ma'am. You're a cheater yourself. So this is very interesting new information. Oh, I can't believe it.
She took the cell phone, smashed it to the ground, and broke it, screaming, "I'm sending my brother over to kill you. I'm sending my brother over to kill you." She then picked up his PlayStation, which was in his room, dragged it to the living room, smashed it there as well, in a rage. She was out of control, whole time screaming, "I'm sending my brother over to kill you. I'm sending my brother over to kill you." They conspired and planned to go to Travis's house at midnight, several hours after this alleged slamming to the ground, to retaliate and to kill him, just as she ordered him to do. Keyshawn and his armed brothers were not noblemen. They weren't chivalrous. They didn't witness an attack on an innocent woman. They were vigilantes. They were 4 men who went there to retaliate and kill, just as they were ordered to do. We don't want to plunge you in the darkness. We want the lights on. We want the fag unfolded. That's what we want, and that's what you're going to hear from the defense. Travis Rudolph acted in self-defense, and that is the truth. Thank you.
The 2 key witnesses brought to the stand were Dominique and Keyshawn. During their cross-examination, the defense focused on the series of messages that led up to the shooting. Both Dom and Keyshawn stated that the messages were a result of high-strung emotions and were clearly not meant to be taken literally.
On April 6th at 10:14 p.m., you write, "Travis is a dead man walking." Is that right?
Yes,
Why did you write that text message?
that's pretty much just hyperbole. I just wanted to honestly just calm my sister down, make her feel better, try to get her in a better headspace, but I didn't mean anything literal by that.
You are telling the jury that you did it because you were trying to calm your sister down. Is that right?
Yes, honestly, I feel like I wasn't threatening him directly, so.
Okay, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't think that that was the route that he was supposed to go, because that's kind of like throwing your sister under the bus. Because now when they cross-examine her, they're going to say, your brother said that he wrote that I was going to unalive this man just to calm you down and to ease your pain. So is he saying that this is what you want? That would get his sister in a lot of trouble. But they're smart with this cross-examination when they start asking you these questions. Listen, we know that a lot of people say a lot of things that they don't mean, especially in heightened situations of emotions, a fit of rage. We understand that. But what y'all said was actually acted out. It didn't just go from the text message and it just stayed within the text message. In fact, y'all had other text messages where you was getting people together to go to this man's house. So you applied action with this idea. It's completely different.
It wasn't to the point where I'm telling him, when I see him, it's like this. But I was just saying that to my sister to calm her down.
She then responds to you at 10:15. You wrote that at 10:14 p.m. She then responds to you at 10:15 to you and Tyler, "Please go shoot his shit up." What was that?
Hyperbole as well. My sister it was a lot of emotion. She was really angry. It was a lot of emotion between all of us.
Keyshawn explained that he, along with the others, went to Travis's home to speak with him, not to assault him. Keyshawn, who owns a gun, also highlighted that he did not bring his weapon that night, as he did not anticipate that the situation would become violent. The defense's goal was to discredit Dominique and Keyshawn. They argued that their actions contradicted their testimonies.
So my thing is, I understand you didn't bring your gun. So if you didn't bring your gun because you had no intent of fighting this man, then why didn't you just come by yourself, since you already knew that that was your sister's boyfriend? You should have just came by yourself. Why didn't you go by yourself? Why did you go with so many men with you?
For example, if Dominique thought her intentions were clear, then why did she delete her messages to Keyshawn?
I'm admitting that I did delete the messages, and I'm confessing that I did turn my phone into the police enforcement. It wasn't for the jury not to see.
You had a guilty conscience, did you not?
I still have a guilty conscience till this day, and I will say that to the jury, to everybody in here. Of course I do. I was 23. I was young. I was dumb. I made a very, very bad decision when I said those words, but it was never my intentions.
You deleted those text messages because you know that they were incriminating, right?
No. I deleted those text messages because it actually happened, and I was confused.
There's no reason for you to lie, ma'am. You deleted those messages because you know they were incriminating. It looked like it was a plot to go to his house to harm him, and that's why you deleted the message after the outcomes of the situation. You would have, if it was, instead of it being Sebastian that lost his life, if it was actually Travis that lost his life, you would have still deleted those messages because that would have incriminated you of knowing what was going to happen, and also you giving the green flag for it to occur.
And
what actually happened?
Travis shot at them. So I immediately thought in my head, they're going to think this is, I planned something. Like, that's immediately what I thought in my head.
As for Keyshawn, if he didn't wish to inflict harm, why did he bring his friends with him to confront Travis? Also, why did the group park their vehicle around the corner when there was adequate parking directly outside of his house?
So why did you need three other men to go with you to have a chat?
I didn't need them.
But you brought them with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't say to them, whoa, never mind, guys. You know, I want to do this man to man. You guys all stay here. I've got this. I'm only going there to talk, right?
Exactly. No, I didn't say that.
You have testified that you know where he lived.
Yes.
So there was nothing preventing you from pulling up into his driveway or parking alongside the house, right?
Yes.
So why on earth would you park your vehicle the first time several blocks away from his house when there was nothing preventing you from parking at his house?
Honestly, if I'm being transparent, I didn't really want to give off any sort of aggression towards him. And again, this is not something I do often. So.
Okay, he's being disingenuous. We all know why you parked the car around the house, because if anything went down, you're gonna have to have a escape car, right? And you didn't want them to know where you were or where you would dip at. That's the reason why you had the car around the corner, which also gives more to the fact where what the defense attorney is asking you is, all the steps that you did not sound like you was going over there to have a conversation with this individual, as in you were cool with him and there must be a miscommunication, or we need to just squash what happened and just really get an understanding what happened. All the steps that you took shows that you had vitriol against this individual. And mind you, that's not an inhuman thing. I mean, any man who loves their sister, they would approach this situation a little unkind and pretty much aggressive. That's just a normal thing that you would do for a loved one. So it's no reason to lie behind it. Just admit, yes, you was making sure everything was set and straight. If things went left, you knew how to get out of Dodge.
In this instance, you know that it looks wrong to do that, but at the time, it's like I don't go talk to people. I don't know that it's gonna look like this. In hindsight, after the fact, we don't get shot at. This doesn't happen. It doesn't look wrong. So in this instance, I didn't know at that point in time that it would even come to this. So
why didn't you call the police to make sure that this man was arrested for battery?
Because I felt like the situation was personal, and I knew him personally, so I felt like I could talk to him.
You could have gotten in that car and drove to his house and had a chat, right?
Yes.
You didn't do that.
No.
Right. Because you weren't there to talk. That's what you want this jury to believe, but that's not the truth. You were there to shoot him. Because
No.
that's
Yeah, see, they was gonna get caught up in I knew they was gonna get caught up in this cross-examination because like I said, there's so many things that they could have done. They could have had called the police, right? They could have even went with the police and have a discussion about the altercation between him and your sister. You came with a numerous amount of people. You didn't even come by yourself, even though you said that you didn't have a weapon, but obviously the people that you was with had a weapon. And then you parked your car 3 houses down, so he didn't even see where you was coming up from. He didn't know which way you was going to go if something went left. There's just too much facts that's going around to let this defense attorney know that yes, you did have intentions to hurt this person. It wasn't just supposed to be some let's just have a conversation. And the simple fact that you said that it was personal, I understand it is personal, but it was taking matters into your own hand, which also, coincides with becoming a vigilante.
that's what you were instructed to do, right?
No.
Isn't that a fact that you guys immediately attacked him, never giving him a chance to do anything?
No.
Not only were the circumstances leading up to the shooting suspicious, but when examining the doorbell camera footage, it appeared that both Sebastian and Tyler were carrying weapons. The defense had hired John Marasini, a forensic pathologist, to examine Sebastian's autopsy photos. He concluded that based on Sebastian's hand position at the time of his death, he likely died holding a gun.
You see this area here in the index finger that suggests of a trigger impression, but that's not nearly as important as what you begin to see here as a palmar surface of the hand has evidence of a little bit of bruising with some pattern to it. So, when we see this, we see that as further evidence of contact with the hand combined with the overall posture. We think of someone who was embracing a firearm on or about the time they were killed.
Do you have an opinion based on all your training and experience if the decedent's hand in the right hand in this photograph is consistent with holding a firearm prior to death or after death as well?
It's consistent with the embrace of firearm.
What was the last word before firearm?
Embrace of holding.
Embrace meaning holding.
Holding, yes.
To challenge Marasini's conclusion, the prosecution called Associate Medical Examiner Marlon Osborne to the stand. Marlon stated that it was impossible to determine what exactly Sebastian could have been holding.
So, doctor, in terms of what you know, if anything, about the phrase death grip when it comes to your profession.
I believe it means that it's the positioning of the hand as if it was holding something when the person died. Unless someone tells me that they felt a gun in his hand. He could have been holding something or nothing at all when his hand's just that in position. Or he could have been holding a can of soda, cigarette lighter, cell phone. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, he's right, but we're not buying it. They caught on the cameras that they had guns. If we seen that, I'm not sure what his name, I forgot what his name is, but we seen that the guy, he came out with that big assault rifle, right? So if these guys was running and looking back and trying to get in their car and they see him with a weapon, I'm sure that if he had a death grip where he was holding something, it was not going to be his wallet. Okay, I'm just really sure about that. I could be wrong, but I'm just sure that it's not going to be his wallet, especially when he has a weapon in there that he can also, use to help himself if he felt that his life wasn't threatened. But, I understand why the defense, the prosecutor is going to bring this man to say something like that, because it is true. You don't necessarily know what he had in his hand unless he was found with it in his hand at the time of the incident.
To further the prosecution's argument, they called on Tyler Robinson to testify. Tyler said that there's no way Sebastian could have been holding a gun because he didn't own one. But on cross-examination, the defense picked Tyler apart for his several inconsistent statements throughout the investigation.
You always forget you have a gun in your pocket?
I don't carry a gun often enough to forget or remember where it is. It's not that regularly that it's just in my pocket anymore, so it's hard for me to answer that.
You're trying to convince everyone what's in Sebastian's pocket is not a gun, it was his phone, and that's why you're taking back what you previously said. Isn't that true, sir?
No, sir. You're trying to prove that what was in Sebastian's pocket was in fact a firearm when Sebastian doesn't even own a firearm, and I'm telling you it could have been his phone, his keys, his wallet, socks, and I'm telling you I don't know what the contents of Sebastian's pockets are. I don't perform cavity searches on my friends when we depart and arrive.
Tyler continued to be argumentative on the stand, so
I just want to say this guy is really smart, right? Because he do understand what they're trying to position the scenario that he had the gun in his hand. But again, the reason why he is probably not going to help him as much is because you're doing everything to say that it's not a gun, while the defense attorneys are trying to do everything to say that it is a gun. So y'all both are playing the same psychological tactics on each other. And I'm sorry, this is the courts. They most likely will side with the the professionals than a regular citizen on this situation.
very little progress was made by either side. However, it was the defense's theory that the mystery surrounding who was carrying a gun that night fell on lead detective Emily Vanderlaan. This is because a thorough inspection was not completed at the site where Keyshawn's Cadillac was found. Even after Tyler had changed his story and admitted that the firearm found near Travis's house did in fact belong to him. The investigation she conducted was so flawed that she hadn't even held a formal interview with Keyshawn regarding the text message he sent calling Travis a dead man walking. It was now the defense's turn to bring their witnesses to the stand. They started with Daryl, who stated that Travis acted in self-defense as they feared for their lives.
What happens next?
They was fiercely assaulting Travis, and then,
what were they doing to him?
Basically punching him, they're trying to kill him, basically. They're trying to kill him. So I try to, jump in to try to get these guys off of my brother. Then now I'm being fiercely assaulted as well. Like, they didn't care. They came over to kill.
Did you ever see anybody with any firearms?
Yes, sir.
Where did that happen?
That happened on the side of my house, on the grass area by the garage.
So after the attack at the front door?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what happened there, if the best you remember.
So I'm literally like on the ground being pounded and fiercely assaulted. I see this firearm from Tyler Robinson. He points his gun at my head, saying, you gonna die today. You gonna die today.
Following Daryl's testimony, it was finally time to hear from the man himself, Travis. Travis stuck to his initial story, stating that Tyler pulled a gun on him and his brother first. In a panic, he ran inside, grabbed his assault rifle, and defended himself.
I heard this loud banging, like constant banging, as if someone was like really trying to get your attention.
What happened next?
I remember my brother was the first one. He like darted to the door, like without any hesitation. Like he just went to the door.
Could you hear what anyone was saying before you went outside?
The only thing I could hear them saying, like, "Where's Travis?"
That's it?
Yes, that's it. Literally, I walk outside and I was going to approach Keyshawn, and I was gonna say, I said, "What's up?" But before I even get the up part, the guy with the shirt off with the tattoos, he had sucker punched me in my left eye. And
know him at all?
No, that was my first time ever seeing him. Yes.
You never met him to your knowledge?
No.
How does he hit you?
He hit me as if he was trying to knock me out.
Very hard?
Yes.
Did you see the hit coming or the punch coming?
No, he caught me off guard. They started like jumping me to, basically they're coming from my right. So Tyler hit me from my left and they started jumping me from my right.
Did you see any weapons at this point, any guns?
No, not at this point.
How were they fighting with you?
They was like trying to hurt us really bad, like trying to kill us. I took it as they was trying to kill us. They kicking us, punching us. I got choked one time, everything.
Okay. And were they saying anything to you during this battle?
Yes, they said, we on demon time. Y'all gonna die today.
And what did that mean to you, demon time? You know about that?
Like, they basically, like, they don't, excuse my language, jurors, but they basically saying that I don't give a fuck about nothing. I'm coming to handle my business.
Is that a new term, demon time?
Yes,
So Tyler pulls the gun. Do you remember which pocket he pulls it, or no?
from his right pocket.
Is he pointed, or you don't even see him pointed?
I don't see him pointing because, like I said, at that time, as soon as I see him, pull his firearm, I reacted and I went inside my house. Like, I ran to my house. Yes,
Was it a matter of life and death even before that, in your opinion?
most definitely.
So you run in the house, right?
Correct.
What do you do?
This was a great thing that they actually had him actually take the stand and say his side of it, because of the simple fact he was able to tell more of the story, that the reason why he even went to go even get a weapon is because he finally saw someone with a weapon, and that's what made him go and reach for his. That's a big piece about his case on helping him, because what the prosecutors are trying to say is that he just wanted to be offensive. He was no longer in danger, and he wanted to retaliate and become the aggressor in this situation. But now that added piece of saying that they made the situation from a physical altercation, just fighting, into adding weapons is the reason why his weapon was added to the situation. So that was a very smart move on the defense attorney to get him to start talking about what led to him to even go get his gun.
Then
That's when I came outside and I slipped, like you guys seen in the video. And I noticed Tyler was near my mom, so I approached Tyler.
start shooting?
No,
Do you have any problems loading the gun?
no,
Pulling the slide back?
no.
Was it already in the ready position?
Yes, it was already one in the chamber.
Just like you have your handgun too?
Correct.
Okay. Is that the way you were trained?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you see. What do you actually see when you look down the block too?
When I was looking down the block, I seen two men jumping my brother, punching on him, kicking him. I mean, he's defending himself to the best of his ability, but I mean, I'm afraid for my brother at that point. So
You shoot at the guys?
no.
Why not?
Because my brother's in that direction as well. So, I mean, like I said, I didn't want to shoot anyone that night, honestly.
Did you start shooting before you saw Tyler with a gun?
No.
Did you see anyone else with a gun?
Yes. Sebastian.
And where was his gun?
It was pointing through the front windshield.
And where was it pointed at?
It was pointing in me and my brother's direction.
Did you give him a chance to shoot you?
No.
You know if either one of them took a shot off?
No, I don't know. Not to my knowledge.
So why did you shoot first?
Because, I mean, if I wait for them to shoot, that's the matter of seconds, and it could be me and my brother's life just gone like that.
Did you feel that your brother's life was in danger of being taken away?
Most definitely. Not only my brother, mine as well, too.
Any doubt about that in your mind?
No doubt.
You want to shoot anyone?
No, I didn't.
Following Travis's testimony, it was time for the closing arguments. The prosecution reiterated the idea that murder begins where self-defense ends. They criticized Travis for firing 39 bullets at a group of men, despite them fleeing the vicinity of his household. They argued that he intentionally started and continued the violence, and therefore he should be deemed guilty of his charges.
Can you pursue people who you might think started it? Can you pursue them even as they're running away and driving away and shoot them and kill them dead? The answer is a resounding no. Bring back a verdict of guilty each count. Thank you so much.
Afterwards, it was the defense's turn. The defense said that the prosecution avoided responding to important information during their closing argument, including specific witness testimonies and Detective Vanderlaan's mishandling of the investigation.
Great argument by opposing counsel, but forgot to talk to you about the facts of the case, about what the witnesses said, about Detective Vandal and her lack of investigation. If I didn't know any better, I was watching an episode of The Sopranos. Just the names changed. Somebody disrespected a mobster's daughter, and they went to go whack him.
They concluded by driving home the argument that Travis was in fact acting in self-defense and that the lack of evidence shown to the jury was enough to provide reasonable doubt.
But in this case here, the only question you're asked is, really, was he acting in self-defense? Did they prove he was not? And I submit there's no possible way you can say yes beyond all reasonable doubt in your heart of hearts that he was not. And if you all agree on that, the case is over. You don't go to first, second, manslaughter, because he's not guilty of a crime at all. He's not. Maybe he's not good enough. Possibly he's not good enough. It's not. It should be a quick verdict because you don't have the evidence. You'll never have the evidence, and you all know why now. Thank you very much.
As the closing arguments wrapped up, it was now time for the jury to deliberate.
I don't think that he will necessarily get the time that the prosecutors probably want for him. He will get something because he did shoot recklessly. He shot 39 shots. They're gonna get him for. They're gonna try to get him for the amount of bullets that was shot in this situation. He was reckless in how he was shooting. If you only can identify two people with weapons and possibly might shoot you, but you didn't take action because your brother was in the mix. One of the guys who had a weapon was right next to your mom, so you was showing that you was alert around your surroundings as into why you wasn't trying to shoot recklessly, but then at one point you did shoot recklessly. So let's see what they actually gave him or what they came back with.
Right. On June 7th, 2023, after doing a thorough review of the evidence, a verdict was reached in just 4 hours.
Defendant, verdict. We, the jury, find as follows. As to count 1, we find the defendant not guilty. As to count 2, we find the defendant not guilty. As to count 3, we find the defendant not guilty. As to count 4, we find the defendant not guilty. So say we all, the 7th day of June, 2023, in West Palm Beach County, Florida.
To this day, no other people involved in this case were ever charged. This sparked several online petitions demanding justice to be served, like this one.
I feel like the young lady should be held responsible because she sent them over there. Had she not sent them over there, the young man would still be alive. Thank you.
Or this one. Emily Vanderlaan would ultimately resign from her position as lead detective for the West Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. As for Travis, in October of 2023, 4 months after being acquitted, he signed with the Orlando Guardians, a minor league football team which is part of the XFL. On December 31st of that year, the XFL merged with the USFL to create the UFL, and Travis was left unclaimed in the dispersal draft. On May 6th, 2024, Travis was set to continue his CFL journey with the Edmonton Elks, but he was released after 2 months. At the moment, it seems like Travis is now SOL. But if there is one thing that we can take away from Travis's story, it's that no matter how deep of a valley you may find yourself in, another mountaintop may be right around the corner.
What does this mean for your football career? What are your plans there?
I'm gonna reach out to my agent, and God's willing, I'll still be able to play football. So definitely plan on getting back to football.
CFL or NFL? Or?
Yeah, anyone, just an opportunity. I love the game. So
You're not out of your prime yet, huh?
no, I'm just actually reaching my prime.
Thank you, God.
That's going to be all right.
Thank you.
That's going to be okay.
Thank you. They have-
Appreciate it. We're going.
And I love you.
I'm so happy that he was acquitted from everything because I really did believe that it was self-defense. None of that would have happened if that woman did not send that text. And I'm sure she didn't even tell the whole truth that she was the one who was actually punching him in his face and putting hands on him first before he actually aggressively pushed her to the ground. He didn't hit her. He didn't punch her. He just pushed her to the ground. And she sent that text. And she got these men in their feelings, thinking that he really beat up on his sister. And she was also initiating the fact that they should go over there and end their life, and in his life. And that's why they moved like they did as a vigilante. They set up a getaway car. They had weapons on them. I'm so happy that he was acquitted on everything. As unfortunately, even though he was able to get back his freedom, he wasn't able to be as successful with his football career. But hopefully, something will come down the line for him. Hopefully that's happening now. I really hope that for him. But I think that they did the right thing. I'm glad that the jury did the right thing. And I really do believe that Dominique woman, she needs to be held accountable, because it's like, how dare you? You're a whole cheating wife yourself. And the way how you escalated the situation for him to supposedly lose his life because he was talking to other women, I do think that she needed to be held accountable. But luckily for her, she didn't get held accountable either. All right. So the next video that I have for you is sometimes victims of their own, of their own situations end up leaving tips and clues where the killer ends up, getting the judgment that they deserve. So we're going to look at this particular case where this actually happened, that a victim set up a trap or gave enough information available, so I guess law enforcement will find out who was their killer. So we're going to watch this right now.
How you doing, ma'am?
This is Valerie Cincinnati, a highly decorated police officer who has spent the past 12 years with the NYPD. The clip you're watching is her apprehending a bank robber back in 2017.
How you doing? I'm Detective Finnegan, Suffolk County Police Department. This is my partner, Detective Fandry.
Hi.
Is your husband Isaiah Carvalho?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if we come in for a minute?
Yeah.
How you doing, sir? Is this family or?
Yeah.
Okay. Mind having a seat for me, please? I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that Isaiah was found dead this morning.
Are you kidding me?
Valerie's husband, 32-year-old Isaiah Carvalho, had been shot to death while sitting in the driver's seat of his car. He was parked in a marina parking lot 50 miles away in Shirley, New York.
Like, sure, like he's not at the hospital or something.
Yes,
like,
ma'am. Valerie, we wouldn't show up and knock on anybody's door without being 100%, okay? Crime scene's there, the medical examiner's there.
Wait,
I know, I'm sorry.
I don't
We're
even
really sorry.
I don't even believe you. Like,
We're sorry.
this just doesn't feel real right now to me. I'm sorry. Like, I can't really believe this. I'm a cop. Like, I can't believe this.
You are a cop?
Yes.
Where? In the city?
Yes. Oh my God.
I know this is a very difficult time, okay? This is a very, very early ongoing investigation, okay? And as I'm sure you do understand, the more information we can get sooner, it's better for
Sit
your
down.
husband.
Yes, sit.
Okay.
I have a 5-year-old with him.
Is the 5-year-old here?
He's at school. Yeah.
So do you have maybe like a box of tissues you can bring for
Did you get something for him?
Would you like some water?
Yeah. I'm trying to help you as like a cop, but I just.
Valerie, I don't need you to be a cop right now, okay? You can be a wife and a mother, okay? But I do need you to try to answer some of these questions. You don't know of anybody that would want to harm him? Anyone want to hurt your husband?
No.
Is there any like financial problems, no drugs, alcohol, gambling bets, anything like that?
I know. The only thing I know, but it's like I don't want to like.
Isaiah can't get in any trouble, okay?
Okay.
I'm sorry to say it that way, but you can only help us help him and help your family.
Valerie tells the detectives that Isaiah works for the construction equipment company Caterpillar, but has a lucrative business on the side as a fireworks salesman. The detectives asked if any of Isaiah's customers might have been capable of a crime like this. Valerie could only think of one big-time client who Isaiah said was a bit shady, but couldn't imagine why there would be any bad blood.
And I mean, like.
So sorry for Isaiah for losing his life. It's always unfortunate when people lose their life. It's going to be very hard for this woman. I know the way that she's acting. Some people are going to believe that there could be something to it. We'll find out. But it's hard when let's say this happens to you and you're a police officer or you're a part of law enforcement, right? And then now it's your family member. It's like you don't know whether or not are you supposed to assess the situation as according to your profession, or are you supposed to assess the situation as the family member of the loved one who's lost. So I could see the confliction in her. She doesn't know whether or not is she supposed to act as if she was on she was going to somebody else telling them that a situation occurred, or is she supposed to act like a distressed wife? She doesn't know. You can see that she's fighting within herself about this situation, and since that she doesn't even believe that this is actually happening to her, which a lot of people who are in law enforcement, they tend to forget that this can happen to anyone, and your family is not excluded from that.
Like big time fireworks. And I know Isaiah sells it for him.
Okay.
Or like delivers it for him or whatever.
Has
That's
he,
the only
has he
thing.
ever mentioned, like, did he screw over a customer? Was someone mad at him because of the
No. I feel like this isn't even real. I really do.
It's very real.
Yeah, unfortunately, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't real.
Clearly, Valerie was going through a roller coaster of emotions, devastated by her tragic loss. The first time Valerie laid eyes on Isaiah was back in 2010. She was a single mom working at the 106th Precinct in Queens. At this job, she specialized in helping victims trapped in abusive relationships as part of the domestic violence unit. One of her colleagues was Isaiah's stepfather, Patrick Roach, who had been with the police department for 27 years. She saw a picture of Isaiah on Patrick's desk and asked who it was. She then asked whether or not he was single. Patrick then set Isaiah and Valerie up on a date, and the rest is history. 4 years later, they were married, and not long after, they had a son. They named him Sal. However, Valerie's zest for life with Isaiah slowly faded. Over the next 5 years, her eyes began to wander, and everything changed when she met this man. This is John Daruba. In many ways, John was a jack of all trades. He made money by flipping houses, running a tattoo parlor, acting, owning a bakery, and even writing his own cookbook called Shut Up and Eat. But perhaps the most fascinating thing on his resume was his job as head of security for the glam rock band Trickster back in the 90s, or the short time that he acted as a personal bodyguard for late comedian Sam Kinison. But by January of 2017, John's glory days were over. He was now a divorced single dad to his 14-year-old daughter. But things were about to change. He was walking down the street when Valerie pulled up in her police cruiser simply to flirt with him. She told him that she was unhappily married. John wanted to stay in touch, so Valerie told him to follow her on her Instagram at Homicide Hands. Over the following months, messages turned into meetups, and the two secret lovers were constantly sneaking around, seeing each other behind Isaiah's back. Even when Valerie and Isaiah went away for a vacation, Valerie was sending John pictures in her bikini and drawing his name in the sand. Things quickly became even more serious, to the point that John even met Valerie's children. But when they asked what his name was, Valerie told them his name was Mary. John initially felt guilty for coming between their marriage, but Valerie told him that Isaiah was controlling and abusive, and she was going to get a divorce as soon as possible. This made John feel as if fate had brought them together and that he could be Valerie's knight in shining armor. 7 months into their affair, on July 12th, 2017, John was picking Valerie up from her house since Isaiah was supposed to be at his mother's house for the day. However, when he arrived, Isaiah's vehicle was still in the driveway. Because of this, John decided to park a few houses up the street and text Valerie asking what was going on. As he waited for a response, 2 police cruisers arrived. Multiple officers went into the house, and when they came back out, Isaiah was with them, in handcuffs. John was eventually able to ask Valerie what happened. Apparently, she was arguing with Isaiah when he smacked her phone out of her hand. The same story she told police. Isaiah ultimately pled guilty for disorderly conduct. He then moved out of the house and filed for divorce. And with Isaiah out of the picture, John stepped in as the provider, and then some. He spent an exorbitant amount of money on Valerie for things like vehicle repairs, jewelry, clothes for her and her kids, and so on. But John may have spoiled Valerie a bit too much because her behavior suddenly began to change. Anytime John would spend money on someone else, including his own daughter, Valerie would get jealous. This jealousy escalated from small faces of disapproval to scolding to full-on berating him. And it didn't end there. On one occasion, John received a harmless text from his daughter. When Valerie heard the notification go off, she asked John who he was texting. He brushed it off and said it was probably a marketing email. But Valerie could sense that he was lying, so she reached into her duffel bag and pulled out her gun. She pointed it directly at John's head and said, "If you ever lie to me again, I'll blow your head off." Directly following this incident, John contacted the NYPD and reported the issue. Since this was also her workplace, her superior confiscated her firearm and placed her on
So this lady, it seems like she was doing a lot within the course of a few years. She was stepping out on her husband. Her husband was arrested for domestic violence. She buttered up this guy, put him in the position, like pretty much replaced her husband with this guy. And even in the relationship with this guy, she became overtly, aggressive. She's threatening him with her own firearm, threatening to unalive him. She's jealous of his connection with his daughter from a previous marriage. You have children. Your children is from a previous marriage, and you're still married. You're not even divorced from your husband. You're just separated, and he moved out the house. So now, a lot of things is to me, a lot of things is pointing towards her now as being a high suspect of what happened to her husband, but we'll see.
Modified duty for the time being. John was also granted a no-contact restraining order, which meant Valerie had to maintain a distance of 500 feet away from him at all times. Since she was not allowed to contact John or his daughter whatsoever, this marked the end of Valerie and John's relationship. John could finally move on from this fiasco. However, the heart wants what it wants, and despite everything that had happened, John's heart still wanted Valerie. He initially fought this feeling, but ultimately did a 180. He dropped the restraining order and the two reconciled. They decided to give their relationship one last shot. Surprisingly, things actually seemed to work out well for the couple. So well that by the end of 2018, John had moved in with Valerie and her kids. The only catch was that John's daughter wasn't allowed to move in with them. Valerie convinced John to have his daughter move in with her friends who lived nearby. Then, one day at work, an inmate that Valerie was transporting attempted to assault her, nearly breaking her shoulder in the process. She underwent surgery, and then John took care of her while she was bedridden for several weeks. During this time, Valerie's mental health quickly began deteriorating. On top of powerful painkillers, she also began taking a plethora of psychiatric drugs. Her jealousy regarding John's daughter was as intense as ever. She was constantly stalking her social media and even told John to cover up a tattoo of his daughter's name. John was so blinded by love that he agreed. But things really went south when she learned that her ex, Isaiah, might be entitled to a large portion of her police pension following their divorce. Apparently, this caused Valerie to snap.
Why is this lady so obsessive with his young daughter? Like, she's literally separating this daughter from her father. He can't even call her. He can't even text her. He has to cover up a tattoo that has his name. I mean, if anything, I'm against putting other people's names on your body. I'm against that. But if you are going to put somebody's name on your body, it should be your children, right? That's not going to stop being your child, no matter what. A husband can stop being your husband. A wife can stop being your wife. A friend can stop being your friend. But when it comes down to your parents and your children, they're always going to be, exactly in that position, whether you don't mess with them or not. Why was she so obsessed with his daughter? Did she think it seems like she was in competition with his daughter? Like, she didn't look at his daughter as his child. She looked at his daughter as his next girlfriend or something like that. That's highly, highly weird. But now, I guess with the pension situation, since she is still legally married to Isaiah, if they would go through with a divorce, he's going to get half. So that brings motive into the situation. Motive and intent. You need 3 categories that you have to fit, and we already have 2 of them. So let's go on.
Valerie asked John if he knew anybody who would be willing to kill not only Isaiah, but John's own daughter as well. John acted like he was cooperating with her wishes and gave her multiple chances to back out, but Valerie was determined to get the job done. So John had no choice but to contact the authorities, and the FBI was put on the case. In order to confirm what John was telling them, they had him wear an audio recording device to record his conversations with Valerie. John continued to play his role as the loyal boyfriend and willing accomplice. He was so dedicated that he and Valerie even got matching tattoos that said, "Till death." John then pretended that he found their killer for hire, and although Valerie was growing impatient over the following weeks, he assured her that the wheels were turning and he was actively getting updates from the hitman.
Well, last Sunday he scoped it out. He went down there, he searched where they were, he found where they were, he searched where Isaiah was, and he was looking for them. That's what he did. Like, what do you want me to do?
I don't give a. Do whatever you want.
John kept up the act like his life depended on it, repeatedly expressing his concerns about the logistics of the plan and how they might end up seeming suspicious. Valerie, however, didn't seem to be concerned.
I think Isaiah, it's very suspicious. On one weekend, they're both dead.
Okay, so take care of yours, and then wait a month.
Take care of my daughter this weekend, kill her this weekend, and then wait a month for him? Like, what do you...
Or a week. What do you want me to tell you?
Eventually, posing as the hitman, the FBI texted John saying that the hit was set to happen soon.
What do you want to talk about, Colin? What do you want to talk about?
A text message from the night.
Oh, a text message saying what?
This weekend.
So let me see it.
No, he texted me earlier. I erased it. I don't want to keep it on my phone. Listen, I'm really stressed out about this. Stop. You're
really stressed out about this?
Yeah.
Every week it's going to happen and nothing happens.
Oh my God, this is crazy. It's like, okay, so now I see, right? So John is the victim, right? And he is literally playing this game with her, with the detective, to set this woman up, because this woman, she really wanted her husband, unalive, so she can keep her pension and not have to share anything, or probably not have to pay any alimony or anything, right? And for him to get her to be convinced that he's really down with her plan, he has to frame that he wants to get rid of his daughter too. Do y'all understand this? The trauma, the mental trauma that this guy has to go through just to make sure that this woman is not suspicious of him, that he's talking to detectives or investigators about the situation, that he has to literally put his daughter in it. Like, yeah, I'm going to get a hitman to get my daughter. So we're going to get rid of my daughter, and then we're going to get rid of your husband. And that was to convince her that, yes, he's down for it. He had to go get a tattoo with her till death. Everything. He did all these things to really make her convinced that he is down with it. And he knew how much she hated his daughter, that to put his daughter on the chopping block to be someone that he would also unalive. That's some really wicked, nasty stuff. This lady is crazy, and she doesn't even have any remorse. She's just like, oh, like, what are we gonna do about it? We're gonna do it this week? What are you talking about? Oh, you're having a problem with this? Like, she doesn't seem like she has a conscience at all about her with this. This is some real crazy work.
It's going to happen this weekend. I'm telling you, it's going to happen this weekend.
With the hit right around the corner, the couple hashed out how they wanted the hits to happen. They started by discussing the order in which they would be killed.
Yeah, what's your choice?
Who do you want to go first? They or her?
Why are you asking me? Who do you want to go first?
Never mind.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
Very good. That's gonna happen. I'm really pissed off.
With Isaiah being the first target, they decided to make it seem like his death was somehow tied to his fireworks business.
Killed over fireworks? Well, money.
No, the money that you have to be selling them.
So like somebody robbed them?
Exactly.
Well, how much money did he carry?
Thousands.
But that's not until July.
No, it's now. Starts in the beginning of May, actually. It goes all through May, all through June.
And he had thousands of dollars out.
Yeah, it does.
So it looks like a robbery then. One bad.
They then brainstormed how John's daughter would be killed. Valerie did not mince her words.
What do you think? What about how she doesn't sell fireworks?
No, she's just a whore.
So how would that be done? He doesn't want to go by school.
Run her over. How about that?
You run her over?
As damning as these recordings were, detectives wanted to milk John's Oscar-level acting abilities for any evidence they could get. On the morning of May 17th, 2019, the FBI asked John to meet them in a discreet nearby area. When John arrived, the detectives provided him with a jacket and asked him to put it on. The jacket was equipped with a hidden camera.
This is Special Agent G with FBI. The date is May 17th, 2019. He's going to be conducting a consensually monitored conversation between himself and Valerie Cincinnati.
They then told John to go about his day like any other, act natural, and be prepared for something big. He took this advice and started his day by heading back to Valerie's house, where he helped Sal get ready for school.
Come on, 9:04. Time we get you in the car. Time we get you over there.
On the drive there, John became overwhelmed with emotion, trying his best not to worry Sal.
You crying? No. I'm not. I'm just happy.
John gave Sal one last hug, unsure if he would ever see him again.
I love you.
On the way back to Valerie's, John sent a voice message to his daughter.
Daddy loves you. I'll be coming for you soon. We'll be together forever. I love you and I'm sorry. Just be careful and be safe. Watch your surroundings, please. I love you.
John made it home, where Valerie was sitting in the kitchen lurking his daughter's social media.
Tonight's Friday. That's when she leaves, every Friday. They go to Queens every Friday.
Yeah, so how do you know where she is? How do you know?
That's how I know.
How do
She posts it all over the internet. That's how I know.
Their conversation was cut short by some unexpected visitors, finally bringing us back to the body cam footage at the beginning of this video.
Who's that? Landscaper?
How you doing? I'm Detective Finnegan, Suffolk County Police Department. This is my partner, Detective Fandry.
Hi.
Is it okay if we come in for a minute? I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that Isaiah was found dead this morning.
Are you kidding me?
This is a very, very early, ongoing investigation.
I feel like this isn't even real. I really do.
It's very real.
Yeah, unfortunately, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't real.
The detectives then leave the premises.
All right, thank you. Again, you have our condolences.
This is so bad because now to hear how, like, I tried to give her the benefit of doubt earlier. I was, taking in the fact that she was a cop, that she didn't really, know what hat she wanted to put on. Did she wanted to put on the hat of a police officer, or did she wanted to put on the hat of a wife, hearing that her husband, has passed? But now to see everything that she was conspiring on, how she was talking about them, how they were going to do it, the way how she was talking about this man's daughter, talking about run her over. You're following her, because cyber stalking, cyber harassment, you're following her all over the internet to know her every single move. You knew where she was going to hang out at on Friday night in Queens. Mind you, I know I'm from Queens. I'm originally from Queens. So I know exactly where her daughter was going to hang out at. This is crazy. Oh, that it was some pure, wow. Like some pure manipulation right there. That is just terrible.
But John's hidden camera is still recording inside the house.
Well, I guess they're both gone. Nobody's gonna get in touch with me. She's gone. Now what? What do we do now?
No.
Although Valerie got what she asked for, it seemed that she was having some regrets.
I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm gonna go to hell and my son's gonna hate me. Oh, God.
So now what?
I don't know. My family's all gonna blame me.
How are they going to blame you? You have an alibi. We're home. What the
Delete your text
I do delete my texts.
from me. What?
You just texted me.
John opened the text message from the hitman and discovered that it wasn't actually a text. It was a picture of Isaiah's car, taken directly following the shooting. Inside the vehicle, they could see Isaiah hunched over.
Why would he text you that? Is he stupid?
What Valerie didn't know was that earlier that day, the FBI met with Isaiah and told him that Valerie had tried to put a hit on him.
They told me, we don't know how to tell you this, but your wife put a hit out on you. I was shocked. I'm completely appalled.
The detectives weren't just there to talk. They needed Isaiah to help them with something.
They're like, we need your help. We're going to need you to do something for us in order to further our investigation.
The plan was that they were going to fake Isaiah's death and take pictures of it.
They had me sit in my car. They put glass on the floor and all over me and had me hunch over into the passenger seat.
It seemed that this mise en scène was enough to fool Valerie. Upon viewing the photo, paranoia and panic immediately set in.
Oh my God. Who the glass?
Why would he text you that?
I don't know. I'm going to erase it quick.
It doesn't matter. Are you dumb?
I'm just going to erase everything. I'm going to throw the phone away.
It'll show that he sent you this. Are you kidding me? I said 10 days they could subpoena messages.
They're not going to find him. They're not going to find him. How are they going to find him? How are they going to find him? I got to erase all this.
These texts, you dumbass. They can subpoena these photos.
Suddenly, there was another knock at the door.
FBI, put your hands up. Up. Put your hands up, stand up.
FBI agents poured through the front door, and both Valerie and John were put in handcuffs. Valerie was escorted out of the front entrance, while John was taken out the back. Following her arrest, Valerie's house was thoroughly searched by authorities. She was booked into a federal detention center in Brooklyn, where eventually everything was revealed to her. It wasn't long before the media caught wind of Valerie's arrest. The story spread like wildfire.
A murder-for-hire plot involving a former NYPD officer, Valerie Cincinnati.
She was facing 2 murder-for-hire charges and 1 obstruction of justice charge. Valerie pled not guilty.
Everybody needs to afford this woman the presumption of innocence and wait a short while. Our investigation is already bearing fruit. This has taken a tremendous toll on an innocent woman. She misses her children by...
Like, again, guys, keep in mind, defense attorneys, their job is to win the case, whether or not if they agree that their client is innocent or not. They're going to take the case and they make the big bucks when they win the case, right? That's how they make their money. So he knows doggone well that this is some evil creature, some evil monster, but he's going to do his job, and his job is to say that his client is innocent. Hi, Robin, how you doing? Good to see you, sweetheart. Let's go on.
By all accounts, she's a wonderful mother.
While all of this was taking place, Isaiah and Valerie also continued navigating the divorce process.
Cincinnati appeared today at a divorce court hearing with the estranged husband she's accused of trying to have killed. During that hearing, Isaiah Carvalho was given temporary custody of their 5-year-old son. An investigation by Child Protective Services was also ordered. Cincinnati and her estranged husband's attorney spoke quickly after the hearing.
I'll be acquitted because I did not do this. Isaiah's just concerned about his son, and he's just very thankful, as always, to law enforcement. They've been wonderful with him, protecting him.
While Valerie and Isaiah soaked up the limelight, Valerie's family mostly stayed clear of it. But there was one run-in with the media where her father made his stance clear.
I guarantee you my daughter is innocent of this.
will come out in court. This guy that she's involved with is a wacko psycho.
Despite the overwhelming evidence against Valerie, the defense was steadfast in maintaining her innocence. They believed that there was zero evidence that proved Valerie had paid John $7,000 with the intention of having someone killed, and that the statements she made on the recordings were nothing but fantasies. These fantasies didn't reflect her true character or her intentions, but were merely caused by the many medications affecting her mental health.
I knew that it was gonna. I knew that that was the route that the defense attorney was going to go. That they're going to say that she was heavily medicated and she was hallucinating. These were all dreams. These are all fantasy dreams. She never meant for any of this to actually happen. Right? I knew they was going to use that. Right? Because there's nothing else that they can use. You literally have this lady on recording video as audio stating how much she wanted her husband gone and her boyfriend's daughter gone, admitted to cyber stalking and cyber harassing the daughter. She also admitted to why did this hitman, this quote unquote hitman, why did he send you photos of the job being done, knowing that the police can subpoena up to 10 days worth of photo or text messages in your cell phone. So this was his only route to go. Is I wouldn't even be surprised if she tries to plead for insanity or temporary insanity, but let's see how it goes. And thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate it. Everybody who's listening in and chiming in, just please hit the like button for me. It helps me with the algorithm. Even if you don't like it, you can hit a dislike. It would just really, truly help this channel. So I appreciate you. Let's go on.
Health. They also felt that John was the true instigator when it came to the murder for hire plot. He wouldn't stop bringing it up, constantly pressuring Valerie for her input.
What do you want to talk about, Colin? What do you want to talk about?
Well, who do you want to go first? They or her?
Why are you asking me?
What do you want me to do?
I don't give a. Do whatever you want.
They also found it significant that after learning that Isaiah had been killed, Valerie wasn't relieved. Rather, she showed signs of regret when the police weren't there.
Oh, God. I feel like I'm going to go to hell and my son's going to hate me.
She even explicitly says that she thought it was never going to happen.
Oh, you knew this was going to happen. What do you want me to do?
I didn't believe you. I never believe you. You lied about everything. I really can't believe this. Like, I thought you were home.
The defense also found it peculiar that when Valerie allegedly paid John to hire a hitman, he waited several months before contacting the authorities. Valerie gave him the money in February, but John didn't contact the authorities until months later, in May. Was John really the innocent one in this situation? If this case went to trial, the defense planned to pose this same question to the jury. However, there would be no need, because in a surprising turn of events, the prosecution team offered Valerie a plea deal. It was an offer that she couldn't refuse. Her 2 murder-for-hire charges were dropped, and she only pled guilty to 1 count of obstruction of justice. Her sentencing took place in October of 2021. Although the plea deal called for a 5-year sentence, she was only sentenced to 4, with 2.5 already served. In other words, Valerie would be free in only a year and a half. She was able to speak to the court, stating, "I'm apologizing from the bottom of my heart. I can't believe that I allowed myself to get to that place, that dark place." Valerie has since been released from prison. She resigned from her career as a police officer and now works as a personal trainer, still based in Oceanside, New York. Isaiah continues to work his sales job at Caterpillar and lives in the Bronx in New York City. As for John Daruba, he is currently based in Queens, and according to his LinkedIn, he has reignited his passion as a self-employed actor.
So this was a real wild case, right? It was a very, very wild case. Yeah, was literally set up. Everybody was set up. Everybody was working with detectives. Everybody was working with the FBI. I think the reason why the prosecutor gave this lady a plea deal due to the simple fact that the defense attorney was going to use that the guy of her boyfriend that they was using to videotape her, he also looked somewhat guilty by when she gave him supposedly the money months before, but you didn't actually do anything or go to the authorities to let them know about this hitman plot. you didn't do it until months later on. So that would have had destroyed his credibility for him having doing the due diligence of wearing a wire and wearing a video camera to video camera. They would have pinned it as he was just trying to trap her, but he was involved in this whole hit against his daughter and his and her husband. So they gave her the plea deal. She did her time. Whether or not, if I think that was enough time, I'm going to just leave it up to the courts. They made their decision. I'm glad that everybody done separated. I don't know why they even living in the same state, really. They should be living separate, really separate from them, like states away, not in the same state, but just in different boroughs. But nonetheless, I'm just glad that nobody was actually hurt in this situation, but we could have seen this go really left if it wasn't something that played out as a setup plan with the FBI and investigators and so. All right, so I have one more video for you guys, and I'm going to let you good folks go. So please make sure you're hitting the like button, and afterwards comment and subscribe. Let me know if you have any other cases or something that you might want me to review. I have no problem with doing that. All right. So with this case is when a boyfriend is accused of unaliving his girlfriend. So let's take a look at this.
Every last resource. I will find them. I love you. I love you. I loved you. I really did. I love you.
This is 35-year-old Doug Dietrich. At this moment, Doug is sitting in interrogation room number 2 at the Brown County Sheriff's Office in Green Bay, Wisconsin. As you can see, Doug is an emotional wreck. He had just learned that a body was found resembling his missing girlfriend, Nicole Vanderheiden. Although the identification is not yet confirmed, Doug seems to be planning to avenge Nicole. Little does he know, in less than 48 hours, he will become the prime suspect in her disappearance. Now, I'm sure you're wondering how we got here. So, to bring you up to speed, we need to start 3 days earlier. On Friday, May 20th, 2016, Doug Dietrich and his 31-year-old girlfriend Nicole were out drinking with a group of their friends, most notably Greg Matthew and Aaron Kalinsky. At the end of the night, each friend safely made their way home, except for a very intoxicated Nicole. Confused and hungover, her boyfriend Doug contacted the Brown County Sheriff's Office at 4:30 p.m. the next day.
Brown County Public Safety, this is Therese.
Yes. How do I go about, missing persons?
Are you wanting to report a missing person?
Yeah.
Okay, and who's missing?
It's my girlfriend, and she does live with me, and she's never done this before.
What's her name?
Nicole Vanderheiden.
And what's your name?
Doug.
Last name?
Dietrich. D-E-T-R-I-E.
Coincidentally, authorities also received another disturbing call earlier that afternoon.
Brown County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
We just found a human body laying in.
Okay. Person beyond help, or do I need to give instructions for CPR?
Hello, Jaja Ali. Welcome.
It's
Thank
starting
you
Is
very
it
much
a, is
for
it a male or a
coming in.
female?
It's long hair, but I didn't go near it.
The call came from a local farmer who discovered a body on his farmland just off of Hoffman Road in Bellevue, about 3 miles from Doug and Nicole's house. The body found appeared to be that of a 30-something-year-old blonde woman, which matched the description of Nicole. However, due to the state of her body, the victim was unrecognizable. She had suffered over 240 injuries and was found lying face down and unclothed, with a sock on each foot and a pink concert wristband. There were also multiple scratches and shoe marks found on her back and on the side of her head. Upon discovery, her body was swabbed from head to toe for DNA, which was sent to the lab for testing. Since it was not 100% certain that this was Nicole's body, authorities were unable to classify her disappearance as a homicide. So that same day, Brown County Sheriff Sergeant Tracy Holschbach drove to Doug's home to interview him regarding Nicole's disappearance.
Hi there. Is Doug there? Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Here for a missing persons report? Okay. I'm his mom. Oh, okay. I didn't know where we were going to go here. Yeah, just come on. Okay.
Conveniently, Greg was at Doug's house with him. The man in the blue shirt is Doug, while the man just out of sight is Greg. Doug went on to explain that he and Nicole had met up with friends at the Watering Hole for a Steel Panther concert the night before. Since Doug and Nicole were parents, they arranged for a babysitter to stay the evening at their home and look after their 6-month-old son, Dylan. The concert ended at 11 p.m., which was around the time that Nicole had apparently seen Doug flirting with another woman. While Doug waited in line for the washroom, he received multiple messages from Nicole accusing him of being unfaithful. An upset Nicole decided to leave Doug behind, as she, along with their other friends, headed to a nearby bar called the Sardine Can. When Doug returned from the bathroom, he discovered that everybody had left, except for Greg. He then called Nicole to let her know that the two would meet her at the Sardine Can shortly.
Well, I was still at the watering hole and I was wondering where she was, and because we were going to go on to the next place as the show was over. And, that's when I talked to her, and that she was with a couple of my other friends, riding with them.
Okay.
And I said I'd be down there shortly. And then.
So she was in the car and you're talking car to car with her, or your face, or your.
No, I was inside and I don't know where they were.
Texting or calling?
That was actually on the phone. I was talking.
Telephone.
Yep.
Got it.
Within 15 minutes of this call, Nicole decided to leave the Sardine Can by herself. Surveillance footage showed her leaving at around 11:40 p.m. Aaron Kalinsky can be seen following her. As they leave our view, a conversation between the two takes place as Aaron tries to convince her to stay. Unfortunately, Aaron was unsuccessful, and this was the last moment that Nicole was seen on camera. After learning that Nicole had stormed off, Doug and Greg tried calling her again. When she picked up, she sounded extremely intoxicated and incoherent.
You said she was emotional and she was upset. Was she crying? Was she hysterical?
And you know what she was even saying. She didn't believe that I wasn't Doug talking to her.
Okay.
So she thought that I was Doug, and I was trying to explain to her that I was not Doug.
How long did you talk to her?
In a few minutes, and then she hung up.
Okay.
And then every time we tried to call her again, her phone just went to voicemail. Let's see.
Since they were worried about her wandering around drunk and alone, they went up and down the streets looking for her. After searching for 30 minutes, Doug and Greg arrived at the Sardine Can at 12:10 a.m. and were captured on the camera walking inside. They proceeded to have a few drinks before leaving just after 2 a.m. Doug told the officers that Greg dropped him off at home.
All right, this is kind of concerning to me, right? Because I understand you got in an argument, you got caught out there at a concert flirting with another girl, and then this guy Greg and goes and takes us to this bar that's maybe a couple minutes away from where the concert is. You come out the bathroom, you see nobody is there, you contact her, you find out that she's there. You don't automatically head there, and then now what I'm also realizing is, why didn't Greg convince her to stay at the bar and wait until Doug, since y'all both live with each other, for Doug to come so he can come and take you home? Why did he let her go? If you're saying that she's inebriated and she doesn't even recognize that you're not Doug, you're Greg, then why would you let her roam the streets drunk like that and let her just take off? And then I find it so funny that you come back to the bar at a certain time, like I think a couple of minutes later, maybe 20 minutes later, you come back to the bar, not with this lady, but you come back to the bar with Doug and y'all have a couple of drinks. So you have this woman who y'all both are stating to the police officer that she is inebriated. We was out having fun. She's upset. She's mad because she saw me talking to another girl or being a little bit too flirtatious with this girl. But you let this girl go run off drunk with nobody, and y'all not near home, y'all not even near the concert, like it doesn't make sense, but we're gonna go on.
Home around 2:30 a.m. He stated that after sending the sitter home, he eventually went to bed and woke up around 6:30 a.m. to feed the baby. He went back to sleep and then woke up again at 10:30 a.m. Throughout all of this, Nicole was nowhere in sight, but Doug assumed that she had slept over at a friend's or at her mother's house. As the day went on, he became more concerned, and at 4 p.m., he placed the 911 call that we heard at the beginning of this video.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, this doesn't make sense. This is a woman that you live with. Y'all both have children. Y'all both dropped your kids off so y'all can go to this concert. And you just allow your drunk girlfriend that you live in girlfriend to just wander the streets. You don't even know if she's at her mother's house, but you're assuming that she's at her mother's house. Then why didn't you just call her mom's house? If you couldn't get in contact with her anymore with the phone because her phone was going to voicemail, that means maybe her battery had died. But if you're already assuming that she's at her mom's house, why not just call the mom? Why not just drop? If you're you obviously you would still had some function to you. You wasn't drunk. Why not just drive over there just to make sure? Just to make sure that she's at the mom's house. It's not sounding too good. It's not sounding too good the way that he went about this drunk girlfriend that I'm thinking that y'all in a loving relationship you really didn't care too much about, really. Let's see. So Kevin says, and hello, Kevin. Kevin says, because a drunk woman is insanely difficult to get to do anything she doesn't want. I mean, yes, they can be difficult, but again, like you can't let no just drunk person just walk randomly across the street. You don't even know where they're going. Jen Finn says, you're saying the word wrong is inebriated. Well, sometimes I do say the words wrong. So sorry if I am saying it wrong. Let's see. Kevin says she would claim harassment or worse. I guess, but that's still no reason to allow her to walk drunkenly around in the street. This is your loved one, right? Even if she probably say, no, I don't want to go home, I'm mad at you. Get her some water. Tell her to go, okay, let's go to this restaurant, or let's come back to the bar, and at least stay around people. You just don't have her just walk the street late at night like that. I just don't see that. That doesn't make no sense to me. Let's see. Dor says also he might have wanted her to blow off steam. Yeah, she could blow off steam, but even if you have to keep your distance, just watch her. Where was the sense of protection? This is what I'm just saying. There wasn't no sense of protection. Even if I was to go out with my girlfriends and one of them get drunk, she can be a violent drunk, she could be a silent drunk, she could be a side drunk. Okay, well, I'm going to make sure you get some water. I'm going to make sure to get you a taxi and an Uber, get you back home. She don't have to be with me if let's say she's angry with me and she's an angry drunk. But I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do steps to protect her. He said, she's an adult now. Maybe she's done this before. Yeah, and obviously she could have done this before, and that's probably why they didn't take it seriously. But I'm just saying, when I guess I was raised that when you go somewhere with somebody, you leave with them. And if you're not going to leave with them, you know what's going on. You know where they're going. You know where, if they're going to take an Uber, who's driving them home. You call, you check and say, hey, everything's good. Or text me. You tell them, hey, can you text me when you get there? There's just certain safeguards that you take for your loved one, especially when you're out and about. And it just seemed like he just didn't care. He went back to go drink more couples of drinks and he went home. But you left that house with that woman. That woman lives with you and you just went home without your woman? It just doesn't seem right to me. But let's go on.
Do you suspect any foul play? If so, why?
I don't know. I don't suspect it, but this the area she walked in, definitely don't like.
Okay.
A tall blonde walking down the street in the middle of the night in that area is not. I really wouldn't want to walk down on
So
myself.
your ex used to do that. So
Following this interview, Doug was asked to continue the
what you're
questioning at the sheriff's office later that night. As he was brought into the interrogation room, he immediately broke down in tears.
Sprite or Meliello, you said?
Sure.
All right, I'll be right back. Here's your choices.
All of them won't do.
All right, give me a second, all right? I'll be right back.
All right.
If you had for food, what would you?
I don't know, what's the Burger King, like the chicken sandwich, the original chicken sandwich?
With French fries?
Sure.
Okay, all right, give me a second, I'll be right back. I'll make sure this is not locked.
After regaining his composure, Doug was met by Detective Lee Kingston and Detective Brian Slinger, who asked Doug to provide his account of the night Nicole went missing once again.
Yeah, I gotta grab my phone. Cheers. All right, Doug, I didn't introduce myself. My name's Lee Kingston. I'm a detective with Green Bay. Okay. I was asked to come in and kind of help out because the county was short some people over there. Okay. And it has a Green Bay tie with, we don't know if she disappeared from the sardine can or what exactly, okay? So, what we want to do is kind of review a couple of things. Actually, we're going to review what you had talked about earlier with Tracy in an effort to try to connect the dots. Let's start with, what time did you and Nikki leave the house last night?
I'm like 7:30, quarter to 8, I'm thinking 10:30.
And where did you go?
Went to McDonald's, and then we went through the drive-thru quick, and then went to the watering hole.
Detective Kingston told Doug that they had a warrant to search his home and vehicle and requested that he provide the clothes that he wore on the night Nicole went missing.
The next step is to search your house.
Okay.
And her car.
All right, well, I understand that. It could be a suspect, I understand that.
You don't have any kind of injuries anywhere, anything?
Well,
I mean, like scratch, something that would look like you've been in a fight.
No. I mean, well, I played softball on Thursday, so that's a little dinged up my knee a little bit, but I just got some old scars.
No, that's not talking about anything fresh, any kind of scratches or marks or anything like that. Is there anything in when they go search your house, is they're going to find anything in your house that they're going to find that's going to say you had anything to do with it?
Absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Okay. Nothing.
I have nothing to do with this. I mean,
The interrogation would go on for about 3 hours, during which the detectives informed Doug of the body discovered in the nearby farm field.
This body that was found down the street, I don't think it's been 100% identified as her, but there's a lot of similarities.
Need anything else to drink or anything? Get some fresh air.
Yeah, just give us a few minutes and we'll walk you outside.
Was there any other details you guys know?
No.
How what happened, possibly happened?
No. Like I said, I don't even know 100%, that it's her.
Please not. Just the way they said it on the news, I don't know, the gruesome discovery.
Hello, Yellowstone. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. And hi, Dor. And hi, everyone who's being commenting in the chat. I most appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, Dor. He does seem like he's sad, but the only thing about it is I'm kind of questioning what he just said to that detective, right? He asked if there was any new details that have been found, right? That's very concerning, right? And then he's just now mentioning that he saw on the news that it was a gruesome discovery of a body, right? So he was keeping track of what's going on with the news, and I find that a little weird that you're keeping track of current news, what's happening in your local area, but This is the same man who did let his woman, his significant other, I don't know if that's his wife, but it's his girlfriend, his live-in girlfriend, go disappearing for 48 hours before he actually made a call, and he said he wanted to do a missing report. He didn't call his mom. He didn't call her mom. He didn't call her best friends, even though he said that's the reason why he went home that night, because he thought that she went to her mom's house or a friend's house. So he wasn't concerned to follow up to make sure that she got there. So I find it very weird that he's really focusing on if any new details have came out, and that he's aware of a gruesome discovery. You said, you're so glad you're not a cop. It's a tough job. It really is a tough job. That a lot of people don't really take into consideration how tough this job is, right? Like, there's a reason why they have counseling and therapists and stuff like that. They're seeing people at their worst. Sometimes they have to put people in very bad situations. And this is all stress and trauma onto a person's psyche. But let's go on.
You've got to be kidding. Wow, that's the news for looking for viewers, you know. Yes. You're scared? I want her back. She needs to come back. I swear to God, I'm the fight who did this.
And I just want to say, here's a key element to what he's doing, right? They did not confirm that the gruesome discovery was his girlfriend. They have not had that information yet. Forensics have not confirmed that that is the same body of his girlfriend. So why is he already assuming that that is his girlfriend, that that gruesome discovery is his girlfriend, and that she is actually gone? This whole thing initially started that she was missing. So just keep that in mind. That's what they brung him in. They brung him in on him calling for a missing person, report, not this gruesome discovery.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I really do. I love you.
Yeah.
Please.
All right, man. I got some bags. We're gonna go in this room over here. Switch out.
Following this interview, police searched the couple's home and found a pair of bloody Air Jordans that appeared to match the shoe prints found on the unidentified body. They also located blood spatter on the garage floor and in Nicole's vehicle. Additionally, while mowing his lawn, a neighbor found suspicious items in his front yard, including a charging cord with blood on it and clumps of blonde hair. Off to the side was a pool of blood. This evidence was tested and came back to match Nicole's DNA profile. Forensic examiners also used Nicole's dental records to confirm that the body at the farm was in fact Nicole. Her cause of death was noted as ligature strangulation with blunt force trauma to the head. Nicole's bloody clothes, purse, and cell phone were discovered near a highway off-ramp close to the farm. Using Nicole's cell phone data, combined with the evidence gathered up to this point, authorities surmised that Nicole had actually returned home that night. And once Doug returned home from the sardine can, the two got into an altercation which resulted in her death. Doug then transported her body to the farm using her own vehicle. To support this hypothesis, Rebecca Mott.
That sounds like a very plausible, theory that happened, right? Because like I said, it was too much time that was away for somebody that you're in a relationship with. This woman lives in your house. This is your living girlfriend. And for you to just say, oh, I thought that she went to her mother's house or her girlfriend's house, and I just go back with Greg and go get a couple of beers at the bar, and then I go home. I don't go check on her. I don't go see, I don't call her. I don't do any of that. And you just go to sleep. And then now you let 24 hours go by, and then now you want to make a report saying, hey, I'm looking for my girlfriend. What happened? You didn't call, you didn't contact her mom. All your ideas of where she would have went after leaving the bar, you didn't even follow through with that. So that was very concerning to me. It definitely raised my eyebrow with that one. And I'm really believing this theory that they're saying. I think that he definitely went home, and I think that she found her way home, and we know the rest. And see, high trap witness, she said, do he have children with her? No, they don't have children together, but they both have their own child from previous relationships, which they dropped off at families' houses when they went to this concert.
An ex-girlfriend of his told police that Doug had a history of violence.
We got in a fight, tackled me, and I broke my ankle. So, I mean...
Which ankle did you break?
My left.
I agree.
Where did he tackle you?
We were in his bedroom. We were fighting, and he came at me.
Did you go to the hospital at all?
I did.
Which hospital did you go to?
I think it's urgent care right over here by, right over here, but across from Chicago Street over there. And then he had to give me 2 surgeries on my ankle. And then I was in a cast for probably 2 months.
There was an incident that was reported to the Green Bay Police Department. There was choking in that particular incident. Was there any other choking besides that particular incident?
That incident was at my house in the upper.
Right.
700 South Irvin, it probably was, or 1280 Cast.
Okay.
There's 2 addresses.
Gotcha.
He was choking me. He put the sheets from my bed into my mouth, like as much as he could, until I couldn't breathe. So I couldn't scream, I'm assuming.
Okay.
The school across the street called the police because I heard him screaming.
Okay.
We broke up. I went out with my friend Brian, and then we were drinking, so we were closer to his house, so we just went back to his house. So we were at his house, and we were like in his room or the living room or whatever. But there was a window right, by us. Well, I don't remember what we were talking about something, and the next day, Doug was messaging me and saying, basically repeating what we had been talking about inside of his house. And I was like, well, how do you know that? So I thought he was like listening on my phone, or, like he had something set up where he could listen to what I was doing all the time. It was winter at that time though, so my friend Brian, whose house I was at, I told him to look on the side of his house, and sure enough, there were tracks. So Doug was sitting right outside of my friend Brian's window because I was there, and he found me because he tracked my phone.
Do you think Doug is capable of hurting or killing someone? Why?
Doug thinks he can get away with anything. He has.
This eye-opening information was later supported by Nicole's younger sister, Heather Meyer, who shared some revealing details about her sister's rocky relationship with Doug.
You said their relationship was rocky. What do you know about that, or when did that start, that you
From
became...
the beginning.
Okay. And so he's controlling, and he gets mad when she doesn't return his calls or texts.
And also there was a couple times where he basically, since the baby was born, hasn't really been there as a father, and he'll just go out and drink all night long and not come home. And then when my sister...
So I guess I stand corrected. Thank you, Jen Finn. So the 6-month-old baby is their baby together. I thought that she had a baby and he had children from a previous relationship. So they do have a child together. But that was damaging information that we got from the ex-girlfriend about him being violent and being controlling, and then now to hear for the sister. So let's go on.
She tells me this is her side of the story, but when my sister asked, "Where were you?" he got mad and said, "It's none of your fucking business."
Was she on any medication for depression?
She tried. She couldn't do it. It made her go crazier.
When you say crazier, what does that mean?
She just couldn't handle it. She was scared too, I think.
She was scared to seek help? Why do you think that?
I don't know. I just think she felt really stuck in the relationship, and she didn't want another failed relationship with a child. And then, I don't know, my mom said that 2 weeks ago, she told her that he has been beating her. She asked, "Has he ever hit you?" And she said, "Yeah." And my mom said, "You need to come with me, you're going to the Golden Pump." And she didn't.
The statements from Rebecca and Heather solidified the detectives' beliefs that Doug was in fact the perpetrator. So just 3 days after Nicole's death, Doug was arrested and transported to the county jail while officers worked to file murder charges against him.
Yeah, we don't want to take it outside. Right now, I'm going to be taking you into custody. I'll be handcuffing you. I'll explain all that to you in a bit, and transporting you down to the sheriff's department. Okay?
Okay.
Just be cooperative with me,
All right.
and we'll roll it that way.
Wow, okay.
All right. I'm going to get you down there, and we'll talk down there, and I'll kind of explain to you what's going on. I'm a decent guy.
Okay, I'm a decent guy too.
I get that. I'm sure you are. You seem like a real nice guy. Because you requested an attorney, we obviously are respecting that, and just going directly to jail. Whereas otherwise, we would have brought you to the sheriff's department and tried speaking to you or interviewing you. Whatever. So, if later down the road you decide you want to talk to me, then you'll have my
that's what I
card.
was advised. So I mean, I got my family; they're very concerned, and I know what the truth is, and that's what I'm advised.
Yes, please hit the like button if you can. I definitely appreciate it. Let's at least try to get the likes up to 50.
With Doug now
I
in
would
custody,
definitely
detectives
appreciate it.
wanted to make sure that all of the bases were covered, so they needed to rule out his friend and possible accomplice, Greg. So they brought Greg in for more questioning. They began with the basics, getting him to re-explain the events of that night from his own perspective. This time, they seemed to have some qualms with Greg's timeline.
And I'm going to tell you that your timeline seems so abundantly rehearsed. And you know the reason why I know that? Is because it's nowhere near what you told the officers the first time and the second time. It's just not. I know.
Thank you, darling.
I hadn't slept in like 50 hours. They woke me up. I just woke up and they're asking me questions. So when I was thinking about that, I was a little hazy. They just woke me up.
So let me tell you this.
One of the craziest moments of my entire life.
Would you be willing to provide consent for a DNA standard?
I already did.
You did all that already?
Yes. I already consented. They took swabs out of my mouth. Yes. I did that on Saturday when I came to pick up my
And
car.
you provided consent for your phone as well already?
Yes, I did. And my car. Yes. All three.
We really believe that whatever the issue was with Doug and Nicole that night, I don't think that it was pre-planned. I don't think it was something that was malicious. I really think that Nicole was out of control that night. She was highly intoxicated.
Definitely.
And she put herself in a position of vulnerability. She was acting the fool. I mean, no doubt about it. Okay?
Can't imagine him hurting her.
I'm going to tell you that there's no doubt in anybody's mind that the evidence shows that your friend, Doug, had involvement in her murder. There's no doubt about it. Okay?
After the watering hole that night, I never saw Nikki again. I never saw her again after the watering hole that night.
Do you understand that even if your phone runs out of battery, or even if it's turned off, that's not, let me finish what I'm trying to say.
That'll exonerate me from having any...
Well, it actually puts you in...
See, when they're starting to get combative, it's because, things are starting to add up, right? They're letting him know that, they know his friend was involved. They're also letting him know that even though the phone might be dead or the battery might be taken out, it's not that the phone can't be tracked or they can't know what was going on after the phone went dead. And he's starting to get combative because he feels like he's being included into this. So now he's trying to, distance himself of knowing anything that happened.
I think I'm ready to leave you guys. I wanted to help you, but you're trying to play this game and accuse me of something I had absolutely nothing to do with.
Thank you so much, chat witness. I appreciate your compliment.
Before you showed up and made contact with Dallas. Who can vouch you for that?
What is this, 60 minutes?
1 hour. I'm asking for a 1 hour period of time. Who can vouch for where you were if your phone is dead?
Thank you, guys.
So nobody. That's your alibi? Nobody. That's your alibi. Your alibi is the guy that's in custody for murder.
You'll see the timeline.
Your alibi is the guy that's in custody for murder. That's what you're going to walk out this door with?
It takes 30 minutes to get to Doug's house, maybe 25 minutes. We get there at 2:40. There isn't this hour of time that you're talking about. I mean, it's just unbelievable. If I ever thought that Doug was capable of doing something like this, he would never have been a friend of mine in the first place. If I ever found out that he did something like this, he would never be a friend of mine.
He's never hurt a woman before? And you don't know this?
No.
You know Rebecca?
I know Becky, yes.
Oh, yeah, she told me today he broke her leg and she covered for him.
Kind of a big deal.
I know. She made that claim.
So it shocks you that Doug would do anything.
So then she's a liar when she made that claim?
She is a little crazy.
Who broke Rebecca's leg?
So this back and forth with him and the detectives is really driving me insane if you don't really see it in my face, because the simple fact that he think he can walk off and like, listen, my alibi is that, whatever happened with that guy, that's it. They're trying to understand what happened within that hour span with you. He's not really trying to answer anything about it. Then they're going to say, well, you didn't, he said, oh, if I knew he would do something like this, he wouldn't be my friend. So that's why they brought up the ex-wife. And do he know her? He said he does. So about her getting her leg broken, or her saying that, he broke her leg. And he was like, oh yeah, I mean, that's her claim. So at the end of the day, you wouldn't even believed her, or if you wouldn't believe anybody if they would have said that Doug is capable of harming someone, because you think that these people are just lying. You're not even taking any of that in consideration. So I find this quite, interesting. But let's go on.
She fell down the stairs, supposedly, I know.
And you buy that?
Tell me this, why didn't the police arrest Doug for that? Because she filed the police report, and they decided that she was not...
Is that what Doug told you?
I mean, that's what I thought happened. Yes.
I mean, is that what Doug told you?
That is what he told me.
Would you be surprised if he didn't tell you the truth? I mean, would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't.
So it would not surprise you?
It wouldn't surprise me if he kept it private and lied to me about that, yes.
So don't let your friend paint you into a corner here.
When you get all of the information, you will see that I had nothing...
Well, we're getting information from Doug. And
he knows I had nothing to do with it too.
Doesn't mean he has to say that.
All right, guys. I tried to have a conversation with you.
Following this interview, police inspected the surveillance footage from the bars as well as Greg's cell phone location data. Greg's timeline could not be disproven. Over the next few weeks, further forensic testing and evidence gathering continued underway. Suddenly, on June 10th, just 16 days after his arrest, Doug was released from jail.
After 3 weeks behind bars on accusations he murdered his girlfriend, Douglas Dietrich was released from jail earlier today because of lack of evidence. You'll remember he was arrested for allegedly murdering Nicole Vanderheiden last month, but he was never formally charged. Her body was found in a Bellevue field. NBC 26's Marissa DeCandido was in the courtroom today, and she joins us now
Thank
with
you
more.
so much for your compliment.
Cassandra,
I
Brown
appreciate
County
you.
DA Dave
Thank
Lassay
you
says
for
the
coming
state
to
has
the
been
show.
able to keep Dietrich in jail because of probable cause found in May. But after further investigation, they decided they didn't have enough evidence at this time to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
He's not under any bail conditions at this time, so he's not under any restrictions. He certainly doesn't plan on getting out of the area. He wants to remain in the area and see that justice is done.
Soon after Doug's arrest, the detectives were met with a handful of conflicting evidence. Initially, it was suggested that Doug transported Nicole's body using her vehicle, but it was later confirmed that her vehicle did not leave the garage the weekend she was killed. They also received the results from the forensic lab, which contained a few surprises. The bloodstains found in Nicole's vehicle came back to match Michaela, Nicole's daughter. And the blood found on the garage floor and on Doug's shoe was actually from a turkey, a byproduct of a recent hunting trip. And finally, the swabs taken from Nicole's body the day that she was discovered did not match Doug. Instead, they came back to match a foreign DNA profile. There was really no physical evidence linking Doug to the crime scene or Nicole's body. Hence why he was released and never charged. The question now became, who did this foreign profile actually belong to? After running the DNA through a nationwide database known as CODIS, the system came back with a match to a Virginia man named George Stephen Burch. 38-year-old George Burch is nicknamed Big Country due to his
Shout out to
stature of
Montreal.
6'7"
Thank you for
and weight
joining.
of 270 pounds. George had a colorful criminal history spanning back to 2001. The most notable incident would be an arrest in connection to a murder, where George was ultimately acquitted following a trial. He also had 5 unrelated criminal convictions that forced him to remain in the state of Virginia. However, at the time of Nicole's death, he was actively violating his conditions, living in a Green Bay home that belonged to a couple named Linda and Edward Jackson. According to the Jacksons, George was going through a divorce and needed a place to stay. It turns out that George was also being investigated by the Green Bay Police Department. He was a suspect in a hit-and-run incident involving a Chevy Trailblazer that was reported stolen by Edward Jackson. When the vehicle was located, the front seat had been set on fire. This incident happened days after Nicole's death, implying that if George was the driver in the hit-and-run, he may have intentionally set the vehicle on fire in an attempt to cover up any evidence of the murder. On September 7th, 2016, George was brought into the station to be questioned about Nicole. He denied any involvement and said that he was at a bar named Richard Cranium's, about half a mile from the sardine can.
George, Steve. You want to stand up for me? I'm just going to check your pockets one more time, and I'll take the handcuffs off you. You don't have anything on you, no pocket knives or anything?
Oh, no, sir.
Sure they probably would have phoned it by now, but we're a little repetitive.
I completely understand. It's your safety.
Yeah, checks. Well, it wasn't yours. Better? You're not made for comfort, unfortunately. Here's a soda. You smoke or anything?
Yeah, I'll have my cigarettes.
What kind of cigs? I can get you some.
Menthol, Newports, or...
Newports? I'll grab you some Newports.
Thank you, sir.
Give me a couple minutes. I got a few things I gotta grab, but I'll get you some cigs actually right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so before I speak.
So these are definitely, they're going to interrogate him now. So at first they always lead with, trying to keep you calm, trying to say, we just trying to figure things out, keep everything calm at first. And then in the middle, the process is to start adding asking very hard questions that will make them start to open up, or they get tripped up on their answers.
Speak to you any further about my investigation, I want to read your Miranda rights and see if you're willing to talk to me, okay? The reason you're here is in reference to a homicide investigation into Nicole Vanderheiden, okay? So is this something that you want to talk to me about?
So Jean-Du Damastis, thank you for coming. No, I am not a lawyer. However, I have been around in the courts. I do work with law enforcement, and I'm also a veteran. So that's That's a little something as into why I'm interested in it and why I understand certain things that are going on.
Yes, sir.
What's that? You don't want to talk to me about that? So if I read you the Miranda rights, you don't want to talk to me?
Yes, I would prefer a lawyer.
Okay.
After asking for a lawyer, he refused to say anything more to the detectives, but he wasn't home free just yet. His cell phone had already been obtained during the hit-and-run investigation, and when reviewing the location data, it told a story of its own. On the night that Nicole was killed, this data showed that George left Craniums at 2:30 a.m. He then arrived near Nicole's home 31 minutes later at 3:01 a.m. He remained there for about an hour and left at 3:52 a.m. Following his departure, he drove to the farm field where Nicole's body was found, and then to the highway off-ramp where police discovered her clothing. He then returned home to the Jacksons' residence at about 4:22 a.m. Hours later, George and Edward went fishing. Photos from the excursion show George smiling wide with a fresh catch in his hands. 9 days after his interview, George Burch was charged with the first-degree murder of Nicole Vanderheiden. He pled not guilty.
New developments tonight in the case against a man accused of murdering Nicole Vanderheiden. Today, George Burch pleaded not guilty to first-degree intentional homicide charges. Investigators say DNA evidence from her clothing and GPS coordinates on his cell phone tie Burch to the crime. You'll recall Vanderheiden's body was found in a field in Bellevue back in May.
His trial began on February 19th, 2018. During the trial, Doug became a key component to both the prosecution and defense's arguments. The defense introduced him as a viable alternative suspect, but the prosecution asserted that Doug was thoroughly investigated and had zero involvement in Nicole's murder. When Doug was called to the stand, prosecutor David Lacey pushed this notion by highlighting the important data extracted from Doug's Fitbit watch. Doug was wearing said watch throughout the night of Nicole's disappearance, and the activity recorded on it corroborated his timeline.
Doug, when was the last time that you personally saw Nikki alive?
It was, I think it was right after the show. I don't even really recall. I think it was right when we were going to the bathroom and said I was going to the bathroom, and just a little, going to the bathroom, see you in 10 minutes, whatever, you know? And that's the last time I saw her.
Doug, do you recall if prior to your arrest, if you had a Fitbit device that you owned?
Yes.
Do you know, were you wearing that device on May 20th into May 21st?
Yes, I was.
Were you wearing it when you were at the watering hole that night?
Yes, I was.
Did you wear it to bed that night?
Yes, I did.
Were you wearing it in the morning the next day?
Yes.
Were you wearing it when you were talking to law enforcement on the afternoon of the 21st and also in the early morning hours of the 22nd?
Yeah, I wore it all the way up until I think they maybe take it off when I was getting arrested or booked into the jail.
During the time period that you owned that device, did you check that app relatively regularly?
Yeah, pretty much on a daily basis, 1 or 2 times a day at least. And
did you were you able to make any determination about how accurate it was with respect to the step counting?
Yeah, it just seemed to be accurate.
Do you have absolutely any involvement in Nikki's disappearance or death?
No, I did not.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
During his cross-examination, defense attorney Scott Stebbins reinforced their stance that Doug could have murdered Nicole. They claimed that he had the motive to commit the murder and pointed to his alleged history of domestic abuse. Stebbins also presented a series.
So since they got this new suspect, that's clearly, it seems that he has he was there at her house, he was in her surrounding, and then when you look at the timeline where the body was found, his GPS or his phone tracking put him in that place. So That's a very strong information that's going to be for that particular suspect. It's going to be the defense attorney to try to switch it back on Doug now, because Doug would have more motive than this random guy to do something like that. He already has a history of domestic violence with not only with his prior girlfriend, but the one that has unfortunately lost his life. And they're going to lean into that. And you're going to see how they're going to lean into this.
Series of text messages that Doug sent to his mom in the days before Nicole's murder.
How about when you told her, I'm very seriously
Hey,
thinking
Kim
about
Folk,
telling
how you
Nikki and the
doing?
kids they have to move. I'm not cut out for this life one bit. Do you remember that?
I remember, I think I sent something on the lines of that, and I was having a, little downer day or whatever, and I just said that to my mom with not truly meaning it, I guess.
This wasn't the only compelling conversation found on Doug's phone. He also had a strange exchange of text messages with the babysitter, Dallas, on the days following Nicole's disappearance.
And you stayed in contact with Dallas too, because she was concerned.
I believe I spoke with her a time or two after, on Sunday maybe. I don't know. I was talking to a lot of people, and people were calling me.
She said, "What happened, Doug?" And you said, "I don't know. She hit her head."
I don't recall saying anything about her hitting her head at all.
You told Dallas, "I don't know. She hit her head."
I do not recall that, sir.
I don't know, she hit her head. An odd thing to say, given Nicole's injuries. Anyway, the defense also questioned Doug as to why he waited so long before notifying anybody of Nicole's disappearance.
And then you testified that you woke up the next morning. When was that?
I don't know the exact time, but I think it was between like 6 and 7, like 6:30, I'm guessing.
So roughly that's 8 hours since you had saw Nikki, according to your testimony.
Yeah, that would be, I think it was about, I'm guessing around 11 o'clock that I had last seen her.
You did not call the police at 6:30?
No.
You did not call Nicole's sister at 6:30?
No.
You did not call Nicole's mother at 6:30?
No, I did not.
You didn't call any of your friends at 6:30?
No, I did not.
You didn't call your parents?
Nope.
You didn't call your brother?
No, I did not.
You just went back to bed.
Yeah, I was tired.
So it goes back to what I said earlier. The way how he was acting from I guess you was supposed to be in a loving relationship with this woman that you live with, and he didn't call the follow-up to check to see if she made it to her sister's house, she made it to her mother's house. He didn't call and contact the friends. He didn't see if she got her phone charged. He didn't do any of that. So that's just not, that's not the actions of someone who is concerned about a loved one. And I knew that that was going to be a big thing that they was going to harp on, right? And that's why I mentioned it earlier. The actions that he was doing, that's just not what loved ones do, right? Hi, Amy. Amy Ecker. She said maybe he hired this guy. You know what, Amy? That is a strong possibility, right? That could be a strong possibility that he could have hired this guy to actually do the act, but he set it up that way. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's horrible. It's really horrible how this lady lost her life, and now a 6-month-old baby don't have their mom.
I was hungover, and I had a crying baby and took care of him and fed him and went back to bed right away.
And you knew where Nikki was at that time?
No, I did not.
Did you search for Nikki on foot or by vehicle?
No, I did not.
Still didn't call the police?
I did not at that time, no.
Because you knew you didn't have to.
Thank you so much to my sister from across the pond, Ariel. Thank you, darling. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so, so much. Good day, good day, good day. I hope you had a wonderful day today, ma'am. And if you can please, everyone, can you please just hit the like button? Let's please try to get this video to 100 likes. It definitely helps me to continue to do these type of videos with you guys. It definitely helps the channel. I would appreciate that more than any form of actual money. the likes would definitely help more because it will help the channel. So I appreciate in advance if you could do that. Oh, you heard about this one? Oh man, it's horrible, right? And it's crazy. Yeah. Let's go on.
I don't know what I was starting to get concerned, and because I figured she was out, if she stayed out late, that she was probably going to sleep in as well, and probably feeling similar to me, hungover and tired, that she was going to sleep it off, that we had a lot to drink that night.
You finally called police around 4:30. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
And that's 17 hours since you last saw her.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
And then you made sure that before police arrived, you took a shower.
Yeah. Yep.
You wanted to hide any proof that you were involved in her murder, so you took a shower before the police came.
Objection, Your Honor. I don't think Mr. Sugart's asked a question about the last 6 or 7. These have all been testimony from the defense.
After planting seeds of doubt in the jury's mind, the defense's cross-examination came to an end. It was now time to speak to the man on trial, George. In a bold decision, George ended up taking the stand. This was his chance to tell his version of the story after refusing to provide any details during his police.
Now, normally the defense attorney don't want their client to take the stand, right? Because it's brutal when you take the stand and you want to basically tell your side of the scenario and why you are not linked to doing whatever they're expecting you of doing. They would really ask you not to do that, right? Because when the cross-examination comes, they're going to drill you. They're going to pick at your past. They're going to go as deep as they can go to get you to mess up, right? Or to say something out of context that they can use against you, right? So they really suggest that you don't do it. It's a worst case situation when they actually allow their client to actually take the stand and speak for themselves, meaning that the prosecutor got too much info and too much evidence against you that they most likely are not going to win the case. So then as a last resort, they put the client on the stand to speak for themselves.
Interview. His recollection of events from that night were quite dramatic. He described standing at the bar at Richard Cranium's when he noticed a fairly attractive blonde woman standing next to him.
How were you acting towards her?
I was flirting.
And how was she acting towards you?
Somewhat the same, pretty much. Flirting back and forth with each other.
So you guys left together?
Yes, sir. I invited her back to my place.
She gave you the impression that she agreed to that?
Yes, sir. She walked to my vehicle. I opened the passenger's door. She got in the passenger's door. I shut the door, went around to the driver's side, and got in my Blazer.
Were you still driving at this point?
Yes, sir.
And where was she?
She was in the passenger seat.
Front passenger seat?
Yes, sir.
Why did she have you pull over on the right? Do you know?
I don't know why she picked that exact spot to pull over. No, sir.
Did you have the impression you had arrived at her residence?
Yes, sir.
Did you go in her residence?
No, sir.
Why not?
She said there was a light on it. She thought the babysitter was still up.
So you never went inside the residence?
No, sir. I've never been in the residence.
She had you pull over on the side of the road?
The right side of the road, yes, sir.
How did you get into the back seat?
I got out of the driver's side and walked around to the back passenger.
Do you remember how she got in the back seat?
I don't remember if she got out, hopped in the back, or if she just climbed over.
Just as they started to have intercourse in the back seat, George described getting suddenly knocked unconscious after someone hit him on the head with a gun.
So, at that point, everything was going smoothly?
Yes, sir.
You were having intercourse with her?
Yes, sir.
What ended up happening?
The next thing that I remember, apart from us having intercourse, was literally waking up on the ground outside the truck, laying in the grass curb area.
So from the evidence that we're getting from him, I see the picture that he's trying to say. He's trying to say that he met up with this woman at that bar. She went to go get more drinks. He drove her back to her house. They were having intercourse in his car. The boyfriend, Doug, witnessed it, clapped him in the head, took her in this guy's car to that place and unalived her. This is what he's trying to say what happened. But let's go on.
I look down and I'm laying on the ground and my pants are around my ankles, literally. And I was a little groggy, trying to, kind of put two together, what the hell was going on.
Could you tell if it was a man or a woman at that point?
From the voice, from the rough outline of the person behind me, from what I could tell, I perceived it to be a man.
He was then told by the gunman to sit next to the back bumper of the Blazer. As he moved, he noticed that Nicole was dead.
By the time you were told to move towards the back of the Blazer, had you had a chance to take in your surroundings?
Pretty much so. The close immediate area. Once my attention got to that area, I looked closer and I realized that it was Nicole laying there. The first thing I was coherent to me that I could hear them say was, "Look what the fuck you made me do."
Do you know who that individual is now?
Now I do.
Who was it?
It was Doug Dietrich.
He was then held at gunpoint and forced to help Doug transport and dispose of her body. While disposing of her body at the farm, George claimed that he seized an opportunity to overpower Doug and escape. He then discarded Nicole's belongings while driving home.
George, did you murder Nicole Vanderheiden?
No, sir. Definitely not.
Do you know who did?
Doug Dietrich.
Prosecutor Lacey challenged George's story. The lack of injuries on Doug and the absence of George's blood at the scene where he was supposedly hit on the head contradicted George's claims. Lacey presented an alternative narrative. He argued that it was actually George who assaulted Nicole.
What really happened was you drove Nicole home 20 miles away from where you lived, fully expecting that you were going to have sex, right? That was your expectation. You were going to have sex. That's why you're driving her home, right?
I was hoping that we would. It was leading from what had happened before and where we had spoken. It seemed like that's what was going to happen.
And when you get there and it becomes clear that Nikki isn't going to have sex with you, when she attempts to go into her house and leave your vehicle, that's when your mood changes, right?
No, sir.
That's when things get aggressive, don't they?
Not at all.
That's when you grab that cord and strangle her, don't you?
No, sir, not at all.
That's when Nikki gets slammed on the ground repeatedly when she's trying to run toward her house, when those bloodstains lead in a direction back to her home.
None of that is true.
Well, how do you know? You were out cold when Nikki was assaulted.
Because you said I did it.
George vehemently denied Lacey's accusations, but the eyes don't lie. Many have speculated that this rageful moment is a glimpse into George's true character. Following these testimonies, it was now time for the closing arguments. The prosecution came out swinging, reminding the jury that George is the only person confirmed to be with Nicole during her final moments.
This is clearly a whodunit case. We told you at the start of this case that the evidence would form a path, and that path would lead you to the truth and lead you to finding justice for Nicole. You didn't only follow that path, and we asked you to apply your intelligence, your common sense, and your reason. And when you do so, you'll find the defendant's guilty. Who has been proven to have been with Nikki in the last hours of her life on May 21st, 2016, in those early morning hours? Who has been proven unequivocally to have been with her in her last moments? What does the independent scientific and technical evidence tell us on that point? What does it show? Whose DNA is on her sock? The sock he left behind on her battered body. The crime lab leads us to the defendant with that hit. He's with her in her last moments. Their explanation is ridiculous. It's insulting to your intelligence. He tries to make you believe this encounter was consensual as far as sexual activity. Killing her is not enough. He seeks to defame her. Her life's gone, so let's go after her reputation. Nikki did not give up easily. She showed her spirit through the end. Nikki did not go gently into the night. Allow Nicole to guide you on the path to find the truth, which will lead you to the clear conclusion that George Burch is guilty of this murder beyond all reasonable doubt. We ask you to return a verdict of guilty for first-degree intentional homicide.
As prosecutor Mary Kerrigan-Mayers finished her presentation, defense attorney Lee Scuchart got ready to attack their case. He reminded the jury that Doug and Nicole were fighting that night and that Doug absolutely could have murdered her.
Now, when the state talked to you about the motive that George Burch would have, that's completely fabricated. It's brought out of thin air. You didn't hear any evidence to provide a reason why George would commit it, so they had to make it up. You heard strong reasons why Doug Dietrich would commit this crime. Remember what she was telling Doug Dietrich as their fight was just beginning. The state says you can't believe Mr. Burch's testimony. You can't believe his story. They called it outlandish. They said it challenged your education and your intelligence. They called it ridiculous. Those are their words. The prosecutor came up here and told you that. Just because a story sounds ridiculous or sounds unbelievable doesn't mean it is. And I ask that you focus on all the evidence in this case, that you don't continuously ignore that the state arrested Doug Dietrich and there's a full-scale investigation into Doug Dietrich. We've seen the evidence. We've seen him testify. He had the motive, the opportunity, and the connection to this crime. As we sit here right now, you are literally surrounded by doubt. You are surrounded by reasonable doubt. That's why you must return a verdict of not guilty.
As the closing arguments wrapped up, the jury was sent to deliberation. The deliberation lasted a mere 3 hours, and on March 1st, 2018, George received his verdict.
The verdict reads as follows. We, the jury, find the defendant, George Stephen Burch, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, is charged in the information. It is signed by our foreperson and dated this first day of March, 2018.
During his sentencing, Judge Sikowski went on to describe the crime as the most heinous in Brown County's history.
It's hard to wrap that concept around when you could brutally murder this woman, drop the body off in a field, and then hours later go on a boat and be smiling like nothing happened, like you didn't have a care in the world. How can we explain that? That isn't human. When I think about the fact that George Burch came to Wisconsin and in less than 6 months left a trail of death and destruction, that is unacceptable. What chance did he give Nikki? The scars that have been inflicted run very deep. This monster Burch doesn't deserve to live, let alone be eligible for parole. That will be the vehicle that the court will use to ensure that you spend the rest of your life in prison, life without parole, to ensure that the punishment fits the crime.
George Burch received the maximum sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole. As expected, he immediately appealed his conviction. The Supreme Court dismissed his appeal on June 29, 2021. George Stephen Burch is currently serving his life sentence at the Secure Program Facility in Wisconsin.
He has no conscience, no soul. He shows no remorse. He should be made accountable for all the emotional injuries. This was no accident. He is a predator, plain and simple. He has no human-worthy qualities. I would call him an animal, but I would be insulting the animal kingdom.
Yeah, so this one was really hard. Obviously, they didn't buy it, right? He was found guilty of killing her. It was too much overwhelming evidence against him. His DNA, blood was on his stuff, was on his vehicle. He was being placed at the scene of the crime where the body was. So they were not buying it, trying to pass it on to the boyfriend because he has more of a motive than this guy did. And it's unfortunate that, yes, the judge, this was a gruesome case, a gruesome unliving of this woman. And it did not sit well with the judge that this man went on a boat the day after, smiling ear to ear, holding a trout. Like he did not like that at all. So unfortunately, he justice is served. He got what he deserved. He still couldn't even explain why he was even with her outside of saying that he met her at a bar. But I thank you guys for rocking out with me. That's all I have for you guys today. So please keep the likes going up if you could, or on your way out, please hit the like button for me, guys. It really does help the show. It helps me to do this. I have to actually start to go to work, and like I said, I'm a form of law enforcement and stuff like that. So I'm about to go to work now, but I just want to say thank you so much for rocking out with me. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. And if you're interested in these, and if you have other cases that you might want me to review with you guys, please put that in the comment section. I do read my comments. I will hit you back and notify you. I just appreciate that you was able to rock out with me. And thank you so much, Amy. All the newcomers that came in, I want to thank everybody who gave their commentary in the chat and participated. I appreciate that as well. And until next time, talk to you later. Take care. And again, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.